Hello, one and all. Welcome back to the Garrison. That's right. How did we all do last night? A little bit of partying, a little bit of beer, a little bit of celebration after a live experience in Hamburg? Yeah? Oh, but can't have been that much of a party. I guess you're saving yourself for the weekend. No, this has been incredible. I mean, I know yesterday didn't quite give us the 5-game series we're looking for, but I think we can already agree that some of those games are going to be memorable for months to come. And boy, are we going to have a fun set series today. I mean, it's now sweat mode, elimination series, where we start to say farewell to a few of the participants, but also, hello to maybe new storylines to be written here. On top of that, we do also still have the amateur events going on. So if you're in the local area in Hamburg or sitting here in the crowd and you think you might be able to take on that cheeser in the 1v1s, the 2v2 tournaments for AoE2, or maybe you want to check out some Age of Myth, there's plenty going on across the coming days, so definitely mark those in your calendar if you had something in mind. We've also got Age of Empires 4's main event game starting today on the other stage. And don't forget that pub quiz. It's very important. I just want to check with the crowd. Do you like beer? And you answered me, and that's a question. That means you like pub quizzes, so I expect all of you to sign up for that. But I know what you all came here to sign up for. Something that has been brewing, cooking. It's an interesting one because we saw him at the end of the day. Our opening series is going to be a showdown between Spain and Mexico. And the interesting thing is, even when it was a 3-0, you couldn't help but feel that Tato was just on the verge, on the edge of doing it. So let's get hype, let's get big. Join me in introducing to the stage the player for our first set of the day. We've got the legendary Tato ready to take to the stage. Confident, a smile on his face. For good reason. It may have seemed like it was just a 3-0 stomp, but for anyone watching those games against Hera, you saw him sweat, especially in that first one. But you know what? His opponent on the other side, there is no sweat, there is no pressure. He just has to overcome the shakes of his LAN experiences because for him, he has the freedom of no expectation. But he's definitely a talented lad. Join me and welcome to the stage. It's Kingston! On the verge of his best performance at a LAN, if he can just beat this Spanish beast, this bull, he would already have actually set like a new high for himself in Age of Empires 2. It's promising. I always love to see it. It's the battles of the greats versus the upcomers. We can even talk a little bit about them. Apparently, we have some stats on the players. I'm sure no one needs any introduction to Tato, but we'll start with Kingston. Kingston's an interesting fella here. We talk about his great timings. He likes to play towards his defensive plays, more into the mid game. And do you guys see that? That lead desk measurement, 74.6. I don't know if that's a little bit high, but I love the fact that these desks allow for that type of elevation customization. Big shout out to that sponsor, by the way. They've been working with us. You guys should go check out the desk in those amateur tournaments and get hands-on with them. The players have been loving them. I don't know about you, but I get like really nitpicky about the height of my chair and the height of my desk. It's frustrating. These guys have got you covered. They also have some really affordable entry-level gear. And then, of course, let's check on the stats of Tato, because this man needs no intro to anyone here, right? He's always been a legend, it feels like, for the longest of times. Out of the box seems fitting. You're never quite sure what you're going to get when you get into the arena with him, and we love that creativity. We thrive on that creativity. We saw how that was almost able to bleed the legend Hera just a little bit yesterday. But this is an interesting one, folks, because when you look at these two players, Tato, Kingston, they've matched up 3 times historically. All 3 times it has been a win for Tato. Now, that's encouraging, and he looks like a beast on form after day number 1, but if there's 2 things I've learned in all my years in esports, 1, upper brackets are for cowards. You come to the lower to fight for real. And 2, there ain't nothing like the freedom of no pressure expectations to deliver your best. So, to give us their best, we head across to the casting booth to get ready for the draft of game number 1.
All right, we are ready to go. I love that. He was like, winner's bracketer for cowards. That's a good one. Yeah. Never heard that one before.
All those cowards hiding in the winner brackets. They're Yo, Viper, Hera, Lyri. They're just afraid.
Yeah, that's what it is.
They don't have the balls to go through the lower bracket.
Oh, man. I mean, I feel so much better about myself now that know I've got the guts
to go down every first round.
Exactly. It's amazing. Well, the storyline's pretty clear, right? Kingston, it was a big, big jump for him to make it here. It wasn't something that was expected when people looked at that bracket, and it was a crazy, crazy run, taking down, I think, Goku, taking down Dogao, took down Sebastian, took down Mihai. But you're always wondering coming in, is that going to be, like, was that already victory for him? Was that already something that he was super satisfied with? And is he going to have that push to compete here? And yesterday, I mean, it's unfortunate. You go up against Leary. Leary's just insane. So it's hard to really question too much about what Kingston did just because of how good Leary plays. But everyone here is insane. Now he's up against Tato. So we'll see if Kingston can get some wins on the board. Maybe send Tato out of the tournament here.
That would be crazy, right? Tato, considered to be maybe number 5 in the world, something in that ballpark there. Would be crazy to see him go down already. Kingston, I talked to him the day before the game started and felt like, yeah, how are you feeling? Like, he's super happy to be here, traveled through Europe, right? He stays another 2 weeks with the girlfriend, so, like, really nice for him. And he said his goal is to have good home maps, play well on them, and win the home maps.
Win the
So
home maps.
he's not even aiming to win the full set. Just remember, he already had a LAN performance before, went out 0-2-0-2. So maybe this is the day for his first map win on a LAN.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't remember that he hadn't won any games. It's been unfortunate to have that tone, but I think that's maybe reasonable expectations for him. I felt that we saw Kingston's best in game number 3 against Leary yesterday. You can't show up bringing your best. It can't start to look sharp in game 3, you know? And so I'm hoping the first game or two, as we see the Civs come in, hoping the first game or two, the rust or maybe the nerves that we saw from him yesterday, now he's got that out of the way and he can come out firing. We know Tato is going to. We'll talk about him a bit more. Tato, maybe one of the best performances in an 0-3 ever yesterday.
Actually true.
Which is incredible, and he's going to have some things saved up here. So Civs, there's the maps now coming in on screen. We can speculate a bit more on the Civs now actually knowing the map. So game 1 will be Outcrop, which I don't think we've seen yet this whole tournament. Fortress and Land Madness for Kingston. So he's actually going for more land-focused maps. Tato going for the water focus. He's got Migration and Coast to Mountain.
Yeah, we had Admin Band, Khmer that I saw, Burgundians that I saw, so maybe makes it a bit trickier there for Kingston who wants to play more of the slower maps. We had KP talk about them facing each other, and 2 of those tournaments were actually Masters of Arena tournaments, right? The other one, was it just Valhalla?
I think it was Sudden Disaster,
Sudden Disaster,
which was Sudden Death, which is kind of Arena-esque, honestly, if you really think about it.
So they never faced each other in like a mixed map tournament, right? We've never seen them play against each other on water.
Yeah.
Look at Tato. The 2 water maps, kind of water maps.
Yeah, I love that from Tato. Now, here's a question before we dive beyond or into the Civs a bit more. Can Tato save strategies here today? This is the loser's bracket. If he loses, he's out. But his aspirations are going to be for much more. And so if he's got anything cooked up, did he come into the draft? Can he even now think about maybe saving certain things, or does he have to just bring it all out to play?
This is an interesting philosophy within Gamer Legion, right? They're like training before, trying to come up with strategies, and sometimes players went out before showing their best strategies.
Yeah.
And I think the mentality shifted a bit there.
Okay.
And you saw yesterday in game 3, where it felt like, okay, Tato, everything might have been lost already against Hera. Felt like after not winning game 1, you can't beat Hera today.
Yeah.
And Hera still showed the strategy of Teuton, like tower rush with like mass scouts there. So I think he will play 100%. He will show all the strategies because the jump is massive as well, right? You're guaranteeing yourself top 6 and another day.
Yeah, makes sense. And also there's got to be a respect. Even though I think most people would say Kingston is the underdog, he did get here. He has crazy potential when it's his day. And so, yeah, I personally like that. Now, on that note, I don't know if there's anything that could be too crazy stand out from the maps that we have here. That's just my take. They're fairly standard. Outcrop hasn't been played yet, so maybe there's some deviation in terms of approach. But, I mean, all these maps, they're very different in how they play out, but I don't think there's any, like, real wild card potential. I could be wrong, but I would say that for the most part, it's going to be meta the whole way through.
Yeah, the question is only like Turks. Where are we putting them? Are we trying to play them? Could be Fortress, the only option that I kind of see, right? Feels like Malay should be pretty standard there for Migration. Dravidians there. And then Magias, probably LAN Madness, Hindustani as the aggressive ones. And then Bohemians. And Tato, he lost to Bohemians yesterday on Fortress. What could be the answer today?
Yeah. Well, Turks, Bohemians, we'd normally seen an arena in the past, but Turks actually are arguably better in some people's eyes because of the extra range on their cannon. So they don't get Hufnitsa, but with artillery, they can get the 14 range and snipe down from distance. They also have the Hussars. They don't really have the eco to compete, maybe, but I would say that Turks feels pretty reasonable on Fortress for Tato. Malay, also a civilization that's very strong there. They, of course, are strong on any map, though, so they've got the flexibility of being placed anywhere. I would say if I just had to guess right now, Tato's going to go Persians on Costa Mountain. We saw how good that could be. That might be Persians, Lithuanians. Migration, most likely. I'm going to think Tato goes Byzantines or Malay up against Dravidians.
Maybe Byzantines, right? And then he plays Malay on Fortress and tries for a timing attack.
Maybe. And then you just save Turks.
Bohemians.
I think if you're going Byzantines on Migration, and we are getting slightly ahead of ourselves here because it's not the first game, but if you go Byzantines on Migration, that's got to be for forward dock, right? We saw it from ACCM. He did it with Japanese, though. They've got a flexible build, but they're not as terrifying on the front with the fires there.
Can you do that against Dravidians? Dravidians will be faster, right? If you go for the forward dock, try to land, your eco will be weaker, and Dravidians, just like we saw with Yo against ACCM, could just get to castle age so much faster.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. I can't wait to talk about that, but we should probably talk a little bit about Outcrop. Did we have Tatars on the draft there for Tato? I think we did.
Yeah.
Okay, so Outcrop has additional sheep, or I think cows, and Tatars get more food on their herdables there. So I think that might be a good choice there for Tato.
Yep, we could see his scout move around quite quickly. 225 food there, and I think there are like 6 extra cows on each side. So could be crazy. Could be like very little farm investment. Then you get extra sheep if you're at town centers. So just so much smoother when it comes to getting to CA. And one of his most famous games of all times, winning Red Bull with Tatars on Outcrop.
Yeah, it was crazy. It just, no one at the high level was making the Lancer at that point in time. And then there were no balance changes, really. But then suddenly after that historic victory, everyone started to make some Lancers. So I think, to be fair to the mid-elo players who were dying to Mongol steppe Lancers, I think they knew. And those people were probably asking for months, why are you not making Lancers? And pros would just say, they're bad, right? And then, well, turns out they're actually pretty good.
Yeah, what was it? Was it against Meso or something?
Aztecs. Yeah, it was against Eagle, it was against Pikemen. And I remember I couldn't believe it when I saw the eco setup. It was heavy farm. It was 4 on gold. I'm like, Dave, is this about to be Lancers here? And it was perfect. Yeah, and Leary didn't expect it. And I always remember that one. It was special.
That was a crazy game indeed. And yeah, so I don't really see Turks if we play Malay on.
Yeah,
Fortress.
but where Malay on Fortress? Okay.
And then we're playing Coast to Mountain, probably Lithuanians. We have LAN Madness. Is that Gujaras or Hindustanis?
I kind of like Lithuania. Lithuanians is probably for Coast to Mountain.
Coast to Mountain, right?
Here's an idea.
Outcrop, the other one? I think it's kind of interchangeable. Maybe Saracens.
Is it worth the risk of walking to the wood line with your TC on Coast to Mountain here, if you're Kingston?
With which civilization? It has to be with Hindustanis, right?
Hindustanis, Lithuanians. The reason I say this
Lithuanians,
is because against Persians, it's going to feel so difficult in the same type of battle, right? If you try and compete for water, Persians might be ahead. If you try and compete for land and adapt, you're just playing at a disadvantage. It's riskier, but I feel like it might be worth taking the risk, hoping that Tato's base is fully open and exposed against raids, and you can just wall yourself in.
Just remember, every 25 seconds that you're walking and delaying your town center, you lose a villager, basically.
I agree with you, but the more exposed your base is, the more potential you lose villagers later.
But so, isn't that slow?
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Like Persians start with an extra 100 resources. You start with another 100 resources.
Yeah.
And even more valuable, arguably, right?
Yep, that's true.
Plus, the elephants are closer in that area.
That's the biggest point, I think. Yeah.
You have close access and also shorter time if you want to build the dock, for for example. If you want to reinforce, you have more options to maybe go to the gold and stone there at the bottom. Plus, in this matchup, you likely want to contest relics. So you want to have the center control a bit.
Yeah, true. I actually think it's really bad, but I just wanted to hear your thoughts. Apparently, we had a sound issue for one of the players that is now being resolved, so we should have game 1 starting shortly. I'm going to predict Kingston gets a win today. I don't know if I could see 3 with how good Tato's playing. I think like a 3-1 for Tato feels reasonable.
You said it earlier. This might have been the best performance of someone that got 3-0'd in the history of Age of Empires yesterday.
It was insane.
Like that first game, like we were in the green room standing there, and everyone had a smile on their face.
Yeah.
Like Tato, Hera, like they were all like, "What happened in game?" And I said like, "It was pop 200 against 110, and you came back." And like, "What? Is it Castle against Imp?" No, you both were Imp.
Hera at one point was like, he was like, was it that bad? Was it that bad? So
You're surprised.
yeah. Well, I think we're set for first game. We should have our series coming up. Tato versus Kingston, day number 2. All right, folks, here we are. Game number 1 between Kingston and Tato. And we've got Outcrop for the first time. Outcrop, you've got the resources on the sides. And eventually players are going to need to expand their Nilly. But there's enough gold to work with around your base. And I think the key here to talk about, because Tato is Tatars, is he's using his Dark Age Scout not to push deer like Kingston, but he's gathering up all the additional herdables on the sides. I could see a lot of blue dots there. That's a lot of meat heading back to Tato's base.
Yeah. Quick math, 4 times 225, 900 extra food. And he didn't even find all of them. Might scout for some more and now is trying to go for the other side. This could be a really smooth transition into Castle Age.
Is it should you adapt your play if you're against the Hindustanis to potentially move your scout over there as well to try and intercept those?
I would think so, yeah. Like it's obviously adding food to yourself and taking it away from the Tatars. So I'm a bit surprised that he's pushing deer. Could have done the same, just trying to get some cows and then push deer a bit later.
Yeah, I just wonder from Kingston's point of view, right? You're such an underdog here. You just want to worry about your build sometimes, and he's just sticking to that thought process. But yeah, certainly Tato, he should be able to delay farms for a very long time here. Now, I love the Hindustani choice because their scouts can break through buildings very quickly. Eventually, their camels just absolutely dominate most matchups, and then that's before we even get to their gunpowder. So I think it's a good choice. The thing about playing against the Hindustanis is you actually have to adapt your play in some ways. You can't be super defensive because their scouts can break through those walls. So I'm curious to see. Tato's got all this food. It feels like a civ that he's going to want to, in a position where he's going to want to wall up. But if he only relies on walls, I think he could have problems.
Yeah, only palisade walls, they will just die so quickly. So he will have to invest quite a lot when it comes to scouts and spearmen. Look at the score, T90. 300 score ahead. This feels like a 1200 against a 2K or something. Like,
yeah, it's got so crazy to see the score there. Now, Kingston should have enough to transition into farms, but he doesn't have near as much Tato. Can we get a double click there on the cows? Like how many? That's 1,500 food underneath the TC.
He's still scouting with 2.
Yeah, true.
Right? Bop. And another one coming in.
Is he going to have every single one? I think he might have gotten every single cow.
Feels a bit lucky.
I don't know if I've ever seen someone get every single one.
Yeah, maybe 2 still at the left-hand side that he's also scouted and might get this as well. That's just sick.
Yeah, I think he should. Maybe Kingston discovers them. Now, Kingston's scouting the side, so he is looking for those cows now. You will know that your opponent is always generating on the grass terrain towards the middle. And this is a map that both players will be familiar with. I expect a scout opening behind for Kingston, who, again, had a crazy run to get here, but is instantly put in as the big underdog. And so he's looking for his first LAN victory. He's been that one LAN before in Heidelberg, where he won 0-2, lost 0-2, 0-2, excuse me, and then he lost 0-3 yesterday. So hoping he can start off with a victory here.
Yeah, hoping that for sure. We see eco upgrades from Kingston already, and Tedder only got the wood upgrade. 10 on wood here. Not really needing to go for the farm upgrade yet because he's far away from farming.
So I know this is such a me thing to say, but I think having
Place
all
a farm
those
in the corner.
all those cows is actually a bad thing right now because Tata went 10 on wood, which is the amount you normally have if you need to farm transition. And now there's no reason to place farms, and then it's like he has to go for more buildings, and it's actually kind of awkward. And then with all, like, he has too many cows, villagers are going to be bumping into each other. I don't know. It's just a lot to focus on. Whereas after you place a farm, you don't really need to think about it.
That's crazy. And that's 1,500 food shown, but it's actually 50% more, right? It's 10 cows. That's
Oh, true.
2,250 food.
Wow. I actually, for whatever reason, thought Capture Age would have adapted that.
We are smarter than Capture Age.
You are. I don't know about me. But anyways, Tato's going scouts as well. And he did go for the early range because of banking up the additional wood. I like that choice. I'm wondering if Kingston knows about that, though. Because, like, if I... Yeah, I wouldn't expect him to scout that at this time.
Interesting that the scouts are at the side, right? And he's scared of the attack there. And yeah, to elaborate on your point a bit more, a big mistake that Tato could do here is just stick with 12 villagers on all those cows and don't really have a natural transition. At one point, you need to go onto farms. And
actually,
don't want to like have 10 idled and no wood in the bank.
I actually wouldn't hate a farm or two right now with those resources. It's
Even
just
horse
something to
color
think
first.
about. But yeah, anyways, I think the big thing here is Kingston, his first series of the day, he's very comfortable going scouts against walls himself. He knows if he can wall up, his opponent doesn't have big bonuses to break through. So he's just simply trying to play safe. And this is common when you start off a series. Players won't want to take any risks or make any big mistakes that could snowball on you mentally, walling up there. And now, I mean, he's double-checking. He's being sure that he is walled, and his scouts can advance out across the map now.
Small side story there. Initially, the first set scheduled today was ACCM versus Hard, but Hard, Slight Fever, asked for a reschedule. Both of those players, midnight still said, okay. Ooh, nice save there. Still said, okay, yeah, we can move it. Tato had the last set yesterday. First set today, we typically as tournament organizers try to avoid that, but he said it's okay for him. Not a lot of time to prepare though.
Okay, interesting. Well, I mean, that 3 games yesterday were hopefully a lot of preparation for Tato, and thankfully the local time's not as early as it is for some people who are watching. So, but yeah, the range goes up. That could have been disastrous there for Kingston. The whole army could have been in. He could have lost the Vil. Nice damage control. The range being up now means he can make some skirms.
That's such a weird mining camp next to the gold for Kingston, isn't it? That's misplaced by 2 tiles.
Well, there's only... It's fine. Nilly is really bothered.
I'm not sure if I trust your judgment there.
Hey, it's about farms, not mining camps, bro.
Okay.
I mean, I agree with you. It's not going to be quite as efficient, but if it's any consolation, he doesn't really need a lot of gold right now. And he's still not advancing forward. Tato going for some big walls, but just knocking on the door here. And it seems like Kingston's very interested in stopping this. He needs a house there or something.
There's not enough scouts, most likely.
We're really waiting to the last second there, stressing me out.
He has skirms, he has scouts. I think he might even open
his palisade wall.
Yeah, he's chasing this. Kingston can clear this up.
Yeah, this would be a big clear up. He can actually clear this up and keep most of his army alive, honestly.
Most likely. 3 skirms. Soon pledging.
Yeah, really well played from Kingston. Snipes the Spearman. Now, the nice thing from Tato, you know your army's going to die. You want it to die in the most inconvenient places possible. And also a great play from Tato. I don't even see some top 10 players do this sometimes. Just give up the archers, run away with the scouts. There's no need to engage with everything there.
Attack the house. Great play. You don't even see top 10 players do that.
Well, I think it's very natural when you're relying heavily on archers to feel like you need to use your scouts in front there. Yeah. But the reality then is you just lose everything. So not ideal for Tato. He hasn't killed a unit yet. Kingston, very smooth start here. And Tato has transitioned into the farms back to our point earlier, is still finishing up the cows, and he's got a lot of resources banking up towards Castle Age.
Let's compare farm count. There's 4 farms on the other side. Look at that. 18 farms already.
Yep.
That's sick.
Now, this, to me, is underdog mentality, the selling of the stone right there. I think you can buy it back later on, but that is a player who's thinking, I need to really hit these timings to have some success. And
hole at the bottom. Tristan!
What?
That doesn't know.
I'm looking at the reaction. I think someone dropped.
Oh. Still.
There was a DC. We got to shut up. In case they take their noise-canceling headphones off, we have to shut up about it.
We shouldn't even have said that. Right? We shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, so there must have been a disconnect because I saw a reaction there from the players. So I'm not sure exactly what happened. Hopefully we can get a restore going.
Yeah.
But was heating up towards Castle Age.
Sending our best man over there. Like, not this scan.
Is that not our 7th best man? Is that our best man?
That's our 7th best man. This is our best man.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll see if we can get a restore going. Usually there should be a file there, and it's nice that they're like right next to each other, so they can talk about it here. So, but it should take us right back to the moment where the drop happened.
But it can't have been a long time, right? Because Kingston was still actively clicking the scouts. Just clicked up to. Yeah, that's still. Noise sensing. Like we have to talk about the game.
Okay. Yeah.
He is on the way up to Castle Age. What did Tato do? Feels like Tato had to be the one dropping that, right?
I mean, I saw Tato complete a wall on the left, and he wasn't really moving around with a lot of other armies. Yeah, I think it was definitely Tato DCing because of the reactions from the players. It was weird. You don't realize, guys, you at home, you might be playing and you might like scratch your head or like pull your hands off the keyboard.
See, we are back in it. Right? Soon we will get the observer. Those are the POVs.
Okay, observer's about to hop in to that game.
We can cast from here. So the scouts are in.
And the scouts are in.
Tato
we are casting off
away.
that.
And now the second woodline, quick walls by Tato. Those are the 2 POVs. If you want to be on stage or here,
and here we are. This is exactly what's happening here. We are back from the restore. The scouts are through. It doesn't look like they killed any villagers, but it's possible that maybe we missed that because of Capture Age having to restart because of the game restoring as well. So some of those stats we missed out on, but thankfully we're back in, and this is amazing for Kingston. Like, just so good. Even if he doesn't kill villagers, all of Tato's army is just chasing him right now.
Yeah. Some were moved away. It's 39 against 39 villagers and a faster uptime. I think Kingston should have killed 1 villager here, neither player with horse cutter.
Yeah, the scouts just still moving around. Quick walls here from Tato. If he can put an end to this relatively quickly, this might not end up being as bad as it could have been, honestly.
I think Kingston, like, how many scouts did he run in there? 5 or 6?
I think it was 6.
Yeah. Maybe even thinking about upgrading them to light cav could have been an option. We are now, if this game slows down a bit, back to lifetime.
Yeah, so back to what we had just said before, I think Kingston felt like he needed to force the timings, and he's gonna find the timings here with the skirmishers. Tato with a disastrous start to the series here. Of course, he's the big favorite. Skirmishers get their value. Those scouts are weak. This is a great position for Kingston.
Incredible, and Tato played for this timing.
Yeah.
Right? That was double archer range. He had like 12 archers at one point.
I think that the key there, though, is Tato he had to use his scouts to chase.
Yeah.
He couldn't use his scouts actively, and Kingston recognized that was going to be the case. The stone is purchased now so Kingston can expand. A lovely second TC position. You're going to run out of gold in the middle, so taking that gold on the right side's there, important. And we have a lead skirm, we have Bowsall. Kingston is locked in right now.
And let's remind ourselves, the fight at the very top corner, right? Tato sent those scouts away to get more map control, to get more vision. And that was taken away due to the hole, and that's why the skirms could catch those crossbows off guard.
It's very difficult for Tato to justify leaving his base right now for any outside TCs. This is a town center that he would not have wanted to place. He has to because this army could break in here soon. Kingston should recognize that Tato has crossbows on the field somewhere, and they're not in defense. So there's a big moment coming at home for him, maybe. And TC completes there for Tato to scare Kingston off.
Is he producing more scouts at home? Now he is. Some more walls. That's great map awareness.
Amazing map awareness. Yeah, to understand that this is likely where that army is going to go. Have the spearman there. Tato doesn't even kill it right away. And now that should alert Kingston. The TC's in the perfect position. Kingston, I assume, will recognize this, and he does. Crossbowman probably not going to do too much there.
Perfect defense here by Kingston, and he's still knocking at the front gate here. And there's not a lot of defense, only some crossbows.
Okay, important decision now for Kingston. Do you go back and kill those crossbows, or do you still advance forward?
No. You reinforce there. 4 or 5 crossbow elite skirms with +2/+2 will clear this up. You keep this army at the front because you're finding damage.
Yeah, it's interesting because I was thinking that I would still want to continue to find damage, but I also have a tendency to lose my army here, and then the other army's still in the middle, and then snowballs out of control, right? So it's a genuine question because it's only 3 camels. But yeah, he's doing exactly what you said. I like it because he's putting more and more pressure here on Tato.
Exactly, but this is guaranteed damage, and we have another game pause here.
I think it's just a quick pause.
Seems like maybe trying to find something in the tech tree. Tato thinks about, okay, what was the step lancer hotkey?
Yeah, I would assume it could be a hotkey issue, but I don't think this is a drop like we just had moments ago. But we'll see. What that is. We'll get an update, of course, from production on what that is. But, I mean, there's a lot happening right now. Tato is the heavy favorite. Everyone's thinking Tato 3-0. Kingston's ahead in this game, and I think he's got the better civ for the way this game is flowing right now.
I think so as well. It's like also the Hindustani dream a bit, right? Elite skirm plus can go for camels. Tatars don't have a lot of great options against them.
Exactly, and it's not a game state where massing cav archers feels very natural for Tato. He's being moved off of his golds constantly. He's trying to stabilize economically. The main unit he's going to need to rely on are the knights that he's massing, and again, that's just not great against the potential camels.
No. And also, he was forced to build 2 defensive town centers at home.
That's a big, yeah.
Like, expanding will be so tricky. You don't have stone in your starting area, so he needs to buy 100 stone. He doesn't have a market. Tato, that is. Oh, no, he has the market at the left-hand side. But he needs to buy stone to expand and needs to get map control first.
Got it. Okay, so apparently he's Kingston's monitor, so we're fixing that now, just to keep everybody updated on the specifics. But this gives us time, Nilly, and thankfully we can talk. So, Kingston's position, what can you do better than what you're doing right now? What are your long-term thoughts as the game progresses?
I think like 2 more skirms and try to have like 5 skirms and clear up the left-hand side so you can chop wood there. That's nice. Next steps would be like outposts at the side to see if Tato is expanding.
Yep.
Obviously, you would need to collect some stone. That's not too easy. But overall, I think he's putting himself in a nice spot.
Yeah, I think outposts is what my mind was saying. Now, I think it's too early for that. But there will be a point here where players will have to decide, do they send a couple vills to stone primarily for that? And I think it's going to come down to if Tato can escape to the sides. The couple skirmishers there, they get picked off, and now Kingston is trapped in here somewhat. And this is kind of a tricky situation. If Tato could just kill those camels, the knights now could potentially take care of the skirms, and Tato could be back in business.
And those were 3 camels, no camels left. That one single knight can clear this up.
Oh man, and this is why we had the discussion. There was great reasons for Kingston to stay forward, to apply pressure, but it was such a fragile army in the end, and Tato is behind in the villagers. He is behind maybe in the TC position, but his army situation's looking pretty strong right now. The Kingston not even really able to micro those skirms because he's defending at home.
Tato 0 villagers on gold right now. He's not really sending anything on his goldman on the left-hand side. I'm a bit surprised there. Those crossbows should be in the town center.
Yep, and they'll go into the TC there. Well played from Tato. What a recovery there in the fight.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm really glad that we had the discussion because I really think that, like, Hera or Leary, for example, right now, they never go in there. And they always go back to conserve a bigger mass. I could be really wrong on that. They could be in the back room like T90. You have no clue what you're talking about. But it's so tough with only, like, 3 camels. And Tato, what a great job, though. He could have easily kept his knights at home to clear that. And then the crossbows on the front would be dead. He snuck forward instead, and he's going to take out the range. He's going to take out the skirmishers. Kingston is just having a horrible time keeping an army on the field.
Yeah, that's really well played by Tato. The perfect split, right? The amount of knights here at the front. He found so many skirmisher kills. And Tato, it looked like he was in a bad position, but now soon close to 2-1 KD.
So, can you go Siege Workshop in the middle here? If you're Tato, you have a good position for it.
Don't you want it at the side? Like, in the middle, you're pushing a bit of wood, you're pushing a bit of houses, but at the side, there is the spot for the gold and stone.
Yeah, I think the side, you would obviously need information first, which I don't think he has right now. And it's just pure skirmisher here for Kingston. That's going to be difficult for him, though. When you lose these production buildings, it really slows you down. Ooh, and there's the Siege Workshop from Tato. Now that is a Siege Workshop that can push both sides.
Makes both of us happy.
Yeah, that's really good here. And actually, it could be kind of nightmarish for Kingston because I think there's a position on the hill where you can also range the town center. And Tatars have the hill bonus. That TC would get completely shredded then.
Yeah. Normally you get 25% more attack if you're on a hill. Tatars, 50% more damage.
I think Kingston, like, he got such a good position, and then he went 4 TCs and promptly lost all of his army. So now he's got this big boom, but it's so hard, even with the Hindustanis, to produce a lot of military and produce out of 4 TCs. And so that's been his issue right now. But if Tato doesn't pressure well enough, the Vil count's still rising, and the resource income should be pretty good for Kingston to turn this around.
Is now switching for the CA, has quite some upgrades for them, only the second armor upgrade missing, not the most important thing. But Skirms, they're not great against Mangonels.
I'm really curious on Tato's gold count. He does have a TC coming up on the right. That is near some gold, of course. I think he should be running out of gold in his base relatively soon. So that's something he needs to think about. Only 600 gold there. Now, for the first time, we'll know that TC's there. The farms that we saw in the Fog of War was just for the caster there, and not us. And the skirmishers and camels advance around that siege workshop. If Tato can't stick around that siege workshop, the siege might not be super viable, but the numbers are still pretty high for both.
Army value 2k against 1.5k. This would be better for Tato if he wanted to take the engagement, especially if, like, maybe Mangonel and Scorpion could join the party.
The camels will take out the siege workshop pretty quickly here with the Hindustani bonus. And Kingston needs to pay very close attention to this because that Mangonel is going to pop at any point. And that could be the difference maker in the fight. Honestly, just taking out the monks is pretty huge. Then the knights can't engage. There's the Mangonel. It is a decent shot for Tato, but it's not good enough to kill a lot. And so again, will that siege workshop even stay up? I think it's going to go down pretty quickly. Kingston getting ballistics, Kingston getting armor now, and Kingston back in business.
Yeah. Nice villager leader as well. Look at that, 110 villagers. Tato now trying to take the fight. I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to go for some more upgrades on his knights, monks, trying to get those conversions.
Yeah, and I love the monks there from Kingston. We'll talk about this later in the series, but he's known for being really good with controlling his monks, really good on maps where you typically see a lot more monks, and booming, right? He loves his booming. Even though he's amazing on open maps, his specialty is typically the closed maps against the other top players. And now, I was worried before about the numbers. The numbers are even. He's flying with military. He also doesn't have a single villager on stone, so it's like the perfect ratio. 30 on wood, 30 on food, 30 on gold right now.
Really nice indeed. Maybe some more map control on the left-hand side for both players could be an option, or they just know so much. Well, you have kind of the same investment here. You can't be on the other side as well.
Yeah, +2 armor on those camels is going to be a big one. And also Tato's making primarily cav archers long-term. And camels will do bonus damage against the cav archers. They don't against the crossbow. So nice pickoffs with the skirms already for Kingston, who's actually adding a second siege workshop. He already has one in the middle. I think he just thinks better of that. His camels are going to deal with night raids right now around that TC. So it's a bit risky for him. That's nice from Tato. That's a lot more camels chasing than you really need if you're Kingston. And oh man, the micro there. This is nervous moments for him, but his micro's been good. The skirmishers are staying alive. Still waiting for those camels to come back. I think Tato's about to drop a castle here soon as well.
I think we'll be on the right-hand side. We see some dots moving. Could be a castle, and then a transition to caching.
I think maybe just like a passive middle castle is better than a forward castle.
The outpost. Outpost rushing here. Kingston, what's happening?
He drops a lot of outposts. It doesn't really help.
He really
that
wants
much more vision. That's true. But he seems to know something's up. He seems to know that area is important. He's on his way to Imp right now. And Tato is realizing, I think, that he cannot place that forward castle easily.
Lacking gold here is Tato. Didn't go for the town center next to the gold. Only 8 villagers on it. Now builds a more defensive castle than he would have liked to see.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty sick. You want to go forward castle, you end up needing a defensive castle. Not really the best of signs for Tato. That castle is in vision of the camels and the skirms, but I actually like this from Kingston. If you keep this army alive and keep this control, you can take care of that castle with your own. I think he shifted villagers on the stone as we were watching this fight unfold, and so he should be close to a castle of his own soon.
Tato is building that castle with all his gold villagers.
Interesting.
Right? He's only now sending more. That's why he had to use the market so much. Tato could have had like 2,000 more resources if he didn't need to sell all the wood and food.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, what else are you going to, most of your vills out there are gold. It's a really tricky situation. But oh man, what a game. What a game. Kingston bringing a much higher level than we saw arguably against Lear yesterday. And I would say that what I said is true. I think that the nerves are kind of out of the way. Or maybe the nerves are there and he's just doing a better job at managing it. That's probably more accurate. Because everyone's going to feel nervous, even the best of the best. But I love the army. And I just don't love Tato's army. I still got some big questions on what he makes here if Kingston continues down this tech tree, the Hindustanis.
Kind of hoping still mass heavy CA, maybe even need to mix in some halberdiers, but you're lacking armor upgrades there. Gulam will be a better counter all of a sudden. Late game should be good for the Hindustani player.
Yeah, now only 14 on gold for Kingston. That's not a ton. He doesn't have a TC on the left side either. So that's important, and I think he only can control 1 gold at the moment with that TC on the right. And he's almost out of it, actually. He might run out of gold. Look, some villagers even wondered here to take that gold because they've run out of the other one. I wonder if Tato will recognize this.
Needs to send more villagers to the left-hand side. 132 villagers in total, so could really afford this. Some more villagers arriving, but right now gold income way better for Tato.
And no TC on the left because he needs to save that stone for the castle timing on this side. So there's a lot happening. This is where you need the market. That's a good castle for Kingston if he can place it. But maybe it's not a good castle because if Tato sees it, Tato can make a trap. So he backs up with it, which is smart. Still, heavy camel's going to be insane. The skirms could be upgraded even further. But maybe gold control is how Tato can win the game. That's a town center, actually.
Send some crossbows over here. Knows, okay, my main fighting army will be CA. Is now going for the unique tech here.
If he didn't build that outpost, this TC maybe never goes up. Like, that outpost actually saved that TC. I think it will still complete. Tato will notice this. If Kingston notices, though, the villagers should be safe.
Ooh.
And he can still take that gold soon. He only has 5 on gold, though, for the time being.
Not all villagers saved, though. Should be some more dead here, and now heavy CA even being clicked. Chemistry. Tato's eco was so good, he gets fully upgraded heavy CA soon.
He has so much gold. He's got 35 on gold. Because I think he has 2 gold spots, maybe 3 gold spots available on that right-hand side. That's one of the areas, of course, he gets pushed off of now. The skirms are a bit stronger for Kingston than they were.
Camel raid now. And Tato has a really defensive castle here. That's an interesting placement. Typically, we'd like to see it more aggressively on the left-hand side, maybe double down on the right-hand side or something in the center. But that was positioned perfectly.
It was. Now, do you really want your camels there? I feel like if your camels are there, it's not really benefiting your push in the north. That feels like the key still for Kingston. And so I guess the skirms for now might be enough against the CA. But I'm just in love with this game, Nilly. It's 180 pop for both. Tato will actually stonewall around his trebuchets. You love to see that. We have herbal medicine on the way for Kingston. He's going to heal up real quick inside of the castle. I just wonder, with Tato's stone, if he ever considers a castle on the left now.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. Only 4 on stone, though. Maybe he needs to repair a bit more, so that puts him further away from actually affording that castle.
I have a feeling Kingston's going to click Imp Camel. Like, I know he doesn't necessarily have a situation that's perfect for it, because we don't know how much gold he's going to have. But I feel like he's going to try it.
Look at what we have in the Q-ters. The answer for Tato.
Tato's going to make flaming camels. Tato's one of the only players that ever makes these units. They have bonus damage against camels and just all forms of cavalry, and Tato's going to hope for a big shot. They don't do that good against the skirms. Yeah. It's mainly against the camels, but if you get the camels out of the picture, you can deal with the skirms with other things.
Could still maybe even do it. Like, skirms don't have a lot of HP, right?
Yeah, true.
Camel, now flaming camels. Now we can build them out of the siege workshop.
That's sick. I completely forgot about that possibility. And Tato, he will aim to surprise his opponent with this. It's weird. They only are on fire when they're moving. But when they're standing still, they're not.
They don't need to be on fire before, right? Otherwise, they just burn.
There's the flaming camel. Unfortunately, no big shot there for Tato. And the mangonels
camel comes in.
Up for the skirms. Camel is there. It's a lot to pay attention to, but Kingston's done a nice job. He did lose his castle, though.
And now it should be a switch into hand cannoneers, I believe. Skirm hand cannoneer. Then Hussars become good again.
Honestly,
you can afford it.
Isn't like Skirm Hussar all you need right now if you're Kingston? You don't even need the camels. Skirm Hussar could actually be fine.
Yeah, then you die to Kashik.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you need to be able to make some camels, but I'm saying as long as skirms are there with some meat shield in front, it's pretty good until that point. I've seen these games before, Nilly, where the player who's the favorite can stabilize it and try and win the game on map control. And I'm seeing these buildings and attacks on the left now, and I just can't help but feel like Kingston, if he can't push Tato on the right side, which is going to be difficult because he can't make trebs anymore, he might lose the left and then be off gold entirely.
Yeah, not having any stone control right now might just be really troublesome for him. Trap fight looks better for Tato. Now even attacks into Rams. And yeah, no attack through the middle right now.
Yeah, pretty crazy. It's such a fun map. I think it's a really good map. Reasons to play it a bunch of different ways in the early game. Obviously need to expand to the left. It's funny though, because usually you're not going to see many defensive castles in the farming eco. Like Tato's castle, you pointed out earlier, is actually really smart here, but if Tato gets any light cap into the middle of Kingston's eco, Kingston's not prepared to defend that.
Yeah. Could really be an option where the Flaming Camels parked at the right-hand side. Trap still safe behind.
These could be some big shots. These could be some big shots. Tato's been patient here. Tato's been patient. The camels will hit. It deals a lot of damage. It's also hard for those camels to engage against the trebs. If he takes the trebs, though, it'll be amazing, and he takes all the trebuchets for Tato.
That was costly when it comes to the camel investment here. Kingston really stuff for gold is getting raided left-hand side, but camels
are there. That's the nice thing for Kingston, is he just needs 5 to 10 camels on the left side, and if they're patrolled properly, it should be able to lock that down. He could make bomber cannons on this side to push that castle. I've been waiting to see that, but Tato has 51 cav archers with 20 more in queue right now. Crazy queue for Tato.
Would love to see 1 or 2 monks behind that, honestly, right? Because he is often like moving in, moving out. He has a monastery here.
Yeah.
That's the first relic picked up only. It's a relatively long game already.
Yeah, pretty long game. Kingston will be up against Rams now from Tato. Tatars, I always forget. I think they do get Seedrim, actually, right?
They do.
Yeah, you don't see it that frequently. It's a nice addition, and so are the Flaming Camels, but all of these things that Tato's making, they cost gold. And he's losing a lot of them. He's lost a lot of the Flaming Camels without killing camels. He's now going to lose some monks. He's going to lose some rams. He doesn't have an answer to those trebuchets. Tato might find himself without a castle here soon.
Is he maybe deciding to let this one go because there's no more gold for him?
Did he get this denied?
What are the
He only had
resources
4 villagers there on that castle. I think Kingston denied that.
I think Tato's fully switching. I think he's giving this up completely, the right-hand side. What a ballsy move.
It is ballsy, but maybe he just has to. Maybe he just has to.
Could we see if Tato has any more gold here, a bit further down, on the right-hand side? Like, that's the gold stone. He's trying to squeeze as much as he can out of that.
Yeah.
Then his focus has to be the...
Oh, but he's got cav archers here that are finding villager kills. Light cav are running through the middle as well. Now you're torn if you're Kingston. Like we said, where do you choose to castle? You kind of need castles everywhere. And then you also need to focus on the push. The nice thing is Imperial camels are so strong that I think you can, with 52 on gold, you can just dive in a moment here. A bit more patience is needed, but if he moves a bit further into this corner, Tato's got 40 villagers for the taking.
Nice Magno shot. Yeah, but Tato, he can just run with them. This is more interesting. The Tato is actually struggling to gain control over that area.
Yeah, I think the bigger issue for Tato right now is just, it's tough to find units.
It sounds weird, but I think this castle is a mistake. He's pushing into dead area, and he wants to fortify the left-hand side. The future most important resources are all in this area.
I get your point, but he's got nice control on the left as well. Maybe he could do both, right? Maybe he can do both. Tato's going to lose the trebuchet. Tato's building a desperate castle to just hold here. Kingston can probably take that out. And yeah, you're right, but Kingston has a TC. Kingston has 1,700 gold in the bank. If he can just make enough camels here, and obviously enough skirms, maybe he can control the left side and then build a castle there too.
Also murder holds now, tries to stop those raids a bit better. CA numbers, not that impressive anymore for Tato. Yeah, he has a long queue, he's at 50, but not really having them combined, right?
And unfortunately, that's what can happen. If you don't have that big ball of cav archers, that's what can happen. Here he can get some kills, but I'm pretty certain that Kingston is fighting back on the right-hand side with trebs. He might get raided, but those trebs will take that castle down. Tato's got like 30 or 40 villagers there. And Kingston now needs to defend the left. Honestly, yeah, they're all the camels coming over to defend now.
The skirms over, all the waypoints are now at the left-hand side. Raids are coming in. Both players now realizing, okay, let's switch the focus.
Yeah. Honestly, I think if Kingston can clear up these Cav Archers here, if he has enough camels on the way, I think he can win the game. But it's so many Cav Archers on the hill with full upgrades from the Tatars. Tato's got a big blob, and he's microing it really well. The castle for Tato will probably go down. He might need to flee with the Vils. Kingston will also be there. And this is just absolute mayhem, Nilly. They're both 200 pop.
Tries to quick gate here, tries to block those CA from getting around. Some villagers ahead, some blocks now from the bottom.
Markets? Markets? There's a hole. There's a hole. The Cav Archers are going to make it through. Oh, man, this could be disastrous for Kingston. He'll lose everything. But the right side I need to see as well. There's so much depth, so much carnage. I think Tato's about to lose Vils too.
Most likely. We can see that both players are actually queuing up more villagers 50 minutes into the game. Both of them will have heavy losses.
All the camels need to come here now for Kingston, though.
I think
you
so.
don't need any more camels on the other side. You might need skirms here. I need to see the right-hand side. Like, how many villagers have died? There's like 20 or 30 villagers dead there. But sometimes in these instances, if you had a big army queue, losing the Vils just frees up pop space.
Yeah.
So it's not the worst time to lose villagers if you're Tato.
Yeah, 75 military on the map, and he's 15 more on the queue.
Yeah.
He could be at 90 army soon.
Big raid. Big raid in the north. Kingston seems to have noticed it. And in these games, all I can really do is just keep double-checking how much they have on each resource, because it's really hard to pay attention to it.
Only 8 on wood is the main number here. Pretty
Yeah.
crazy. Tato's still missing the last attack upgrade for his hussars.
Tato did such a good job of splitting up his units here, though, didn't he? He recognized the group of camels were chasing after some of those other units, so he's getting some kills there. Here he's dropping another defensive castle. Kingston, though, has done a great job at still claiming or having some type of control here. I know he lost a lot, and he might lose those trebuchets there too, but the right side is of no worry to him now. The left side, he still has the buildings, he still has the town centers, and he's got 44 Imperial Age camels on the field.
That's pretty crazy, but can he take good fights? And we were constantly talking about, okay, gold control, stone control, map control at the sides. Is it maybe wood control and we didn't give it enough credit? Because Kingston is still struggling and he can't build new skirmishers, he can't receive farms.
Yeah, it might
He's
be.
now buying wood.
It might be, yeah. It absolutely might be. And in wood games, crop rotation is always a great upgrade to have, and Tato's has that. I think, like, this should be a moment where Kingston can start to think about that and stabilize, though. It's not like he's actively being pressured everywhere. So that's something that should absolutely never happen. That's something an outpost could protect from, but Kingston probably just won't expect it. Sneaky ways from Tato to stay alive in this game, in my opinion. The fact that he's been able to hit so many different areas, the defensive castles now, the example of those Vils we just saw, sneaking back into the golds.
I think it might make sense to add some hussars, some halberdiers for Tato, just to defend against the camels a bit better.
Yeah.
Like just having 10 halberdiers in front, you don't really want to trade off against that if you're...
Yeah, and tech tree nerds are correct. The Halbs don't have a lot of armor for the Tatars, as we see a massive fight, but you still do a lot of bonus damage, and a lot more than pikemen would, even with more armor. So I think that's a good idea. I think Tato may consider that once his eco stabilizes a little bit more. He still doesn't have a ton on wood, and you don't want to tech switch a little early here.
On the left-hand side, Kingston with a really aggressive castle. I'm a bit surprised by that. Like, that should be in trap range.
Well, he's keeping Tato very busy at the moment.
Okay, no
I also think that castle will take Tato off of some golds. I could be wrong. That needs to be walled up, I think, if you're Kingston.
Yeah.
But it's super hard to fully wall this map, and Tato just keeps taking full advantage of it.
This is the castle I was talking about. Nice in range of the gold. Will get some villager kills, but yeah.
I think he also has a treb nearby that castle that he brought over. No, he's got 2 trebs there. My bad. He's got 2 trebs there. I mean, he's going to just switch sides on Tato right now. He's losing villagers. They both have lost a ton of villagers. But if he can switch sides with trebs and camels, Tato needs a response to it. And Tato needs to divvy up those cav archers to get the proper amount on each side.
He's defending both with crazy armies now. 80 and 70 military. Now another flaming camel coming in. Doesn't want to connect with the trap, but with the camels. Hope so.
Yeah, does take out the treb. Will take out the camels there. That's a good fight there for Tato. But the left side, the camels are just going to dive now. And that's what you need to do if you're Kingston here. The camels can also help even more than the trebuchets can on the castle foundation.
So many raids happening at the same time. But this is tricky for Tato to control, right? Especially if he's splitting up his CA. And now he's raiding with the CA on the right-hand side, and that's why he has to retreat here at the left-hand side.
Oh my goodness, this is crazy. We have raids everywhere. We have raids from Tato on the left, on the right, in the middle now. But he's losing his castle, and he's soon going to have very little access to Golden Stone on these side areas.
Relic count 1 to 0.
That's how you know it's a crazy
and that's at the right-hand side for Tato, I believe. And oh, look at that! He's trying to sneak one back!
Okay, so he might get another one. He is also banking a lot of gold, which is a big deal in these situations. So the fact that he's got 50 Cav Archers, if he can just keep those alive, and now maybe make that Halb switch, as you said, he could hold on here. Kingston, though, 200 population, still has an issue with the amount on wood.
Crazy, 4 on wood only.
I think he just lost so many villas. He's lost 150, and most of them were in the north. That's where his wood was, and that's where a lot of his farmers were.
The lumber camp even. Like, we are saying 4 on wood, but...
Yeah, I guess they're very inefficient 4. Sounds like a crappy movie, The Inefficient 4. Oh, man, there go villagers going down for Tato. Oh, it's an absolute slaughter here. Again, this will free up more population for Army. But does he have the army to stop the camels? It's 63 Imperial Age camels for Kingston.
So much easier to play for him as well, right? He just needs to patrol in and hope that Tato is maybe not taking care. And Tato, especially with splitting the army, makes life tough on himself.
Yeah, I think Kingston finding that stone will be really helpful. What he's missing, I think, to win this game is just castles in his eco. And he'll drop this castle. That's a castle to go for the kill again. That's crazy. I actually think it's good it's denied, because you can think twice about that one. But yeah, that stone will give him access to more. Tato's raiding in the north. And again, the camels are out of position because Tato split up the group.
Okay, now Flaming Camels are coming in. Want to see the HP on Kingston's Camels. Will be tricky. Oh, this could be big.
Yeah, I don't think Kingston can easily justify an engagement, but then again, his castle's going up. Oh my god, the Flaming Camels were insane there. Kingston's still losing a lot of villagers. Tato only has 85 villagers. Can Tato kill off the camels now after the Flaming Camel shots? I think he will, but I think the castle might go up for Kingston.
It's so weird that the camels are not aggressing themselves, right? They just park themselves next to the engagement there. Tato is now going for some traps as well. Oh god, this is getting intense. Tato down to 150 pop.
Yeah, 150 pop, but Kingston's got 3 on wood, bro.
That's the raids at home. Tato's economy is in shambles behind this.
Yeah.
He doesn't have farmers. Look at that camel raid.
Oh man, and that's a big thing I think we missed, because there were villagers falling this entire time. Now the castle for Kingston won't really do a ton long term. I think it's just going to be a treb target, but it keeps Tato there for an extra minute or two so he can do the damage elsewhere.
Absolutely beautiful game here for Kingston. So
35 on stone for Kingston.
3 on wood? What's happening? He keeps on buying wood. The wood price is at 67. How's that a thing?
He's dropping another castle?
He wants to finish the game.
Okay. Well, let's see if he can do it.
Wood. I need to finish the game.
Yeah, let's see if he can do it. The wood is in the middle next to these castles as well. He'll take 1 treb. He'll take 2 trebs, which means the castle will stand. He'll have his own treb behind this. And now Tato doesn't have an easy way to engage against the trebuchets.
56 CA, but can't take the fight. Between 2 castles, they have Bracer, skirms around even, some of them. And Kingston, he's building more villagers. Crazy game. Kingston takes his first ever map win on a LAN.
Yeah, and I mean, who's to say he's not going to get more after that? An amazing start, which completely shifts the storyline. Or maybe the storyline remains the same, but it makes it a lot more interesting. It makes it feel real now that this underdog could show everyone exactly who he was in the run to get here in the first place. Tato under threat now. Here's a fun little stat for you. Tato's 0-4 so far in this tournament, and he's playing like a beast.
Ooh, sick. Yeah. And let's be honest, I think it will be tricky if there's no hole. Oh, we didn't see those quick walls. Tries to get them. Doesn't see that the forest isn't going to the edge of it.
Yeah. That's it. It was a crazy moment in the game right there from him. Also focusing on the gold. Honestly, it's a really hard situation for us to find the POV there to do the proper replay, because what that game was focusing in 18 different spots.
Yeah.
You know, 18 different spots. I think the key for me, like, he lost a lot more villagers than Tato did that game. I think it was at one point it was 100 losses for him and only like 30 for Tato, but he had TCs everywhere. He had the 4 starting TCs, and then I think he added an additional 2, and they were always producing more villagers.
Yeah, it was like when he was at like 100 villagers, I think his idle TC time was like 1:40.
Yeah,
was
so good.
completely ridiculous.
Yeah, and I was going to be critical at a certain point because he lost all army control in Castle Age. I was just like, you're over booming, bro. You can't do that. Turns out he just needed those villagers to work for a little bit, and then he took the map. So is Tato worried right now? I mean, this is a crazy situation for him.
It depends a bit on like why he thinks he lost the game. If he thinks, okay, my macro was worse in the late game, then obviously with the maps that we have, it could be tricky. If he thinks, okay, it's only the hole that's happened there, then I think he's fine.
And maybe he could think the matchup was kind of difficult because he did play very well. He maxed out his civilization's potential, except for maybe Halb, and the Hindustanis were too strong there. So Tata will get to choose now. He has Migration and Coast to Mountain as his home maps. I would say, even though it's a very difficult map to play, I would say go for your number one pick, your best map right now. Persians is that pick. I think they're the best map on best civ, on Coast to Mountain. So that would just be my guess. But maybe Tata wants to take Kingston off of land entirely, and maybe he wants to take it to water on Migration.
Potentially. Like Persians, we just feel like it's the next civ that you will like fault people for not banning. Right?
Yeah.
I still think you're on the Georgians and Chinese boat, and soon you will add Persians there because they've looked really strong.
Especially on any map where you can take advantage of water at the start, but you don't actually need water long term. It's the perfect, any map where that description fits, it's perfect for Persians. And another thing is you want mobility. You don't want a map where foot archers are incorporated. That's Coast to Mountain for you because you're very far apart, and Persians use this speed.
Unless you're Hera and you do 45 crossbows.
True, but that was more of a desperation move than anything. And yeah, Tato maybe felt after he lost that game yesterday, like it felt as though maybe Persians were a bit broken. He's like, how I didn't win that game. So yeah, Persians was a good pick there. So we'll see. We'll find out game number 2. I think Tato's mentality is probably strong enough to be able to work past that. I don't think he's going to start panic mode. I think panic mode might set in a little bit if he goes down 0-2. But if I know Tato, even then that makes him focus even more,
Yeah, we've seen him come back from 2-0s as well, and still, on paper, he should be the better player. Still 2 home maps to go. We're far from over.
But, I mean, this feels fantastic if you're Kingston to finally get that win on, and also it wasn't like a consolation feeling victory, right? Where you got completely stomped the first 2 games and then maybe you get wins. He starts off the series with a win. This is do or die for both players. Welcome in, everyone. I know people are probably showing up now that weren't here and can't believe the scoreline. We've got Migration now. We talked about this in the back room because there's different versions of Migration. Essentially, this is a size 2 map. Some versions of Migration are actually a bit bigger to offer a lot more land space. And essentially what that means is water is more important, I would say, because the map's smaller. Yeah. But also it's way more restrictive and difficult to play this one in the middle island there. So because it's so narrow, is forward dock a viable strategy? It's not that far if you want to transport across. We saw ACCM try it, and I know other players have tried it in the past.
The thing is, like with 3 map size Migration, it just feels like, okay, playing on the outside, you can play super, super slow.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And here, as you said, like water control feels really nice, and I'm a bit surprised by the civilization choice. We thought Byzantines might be the choice for Tato. He actually went for Malay.
Okay.
That will be a question mark for me what he wants to play on Fortress, because he doesn't want to play Byzantines on Fortress.
Probably Turks. He did have Turks on the draft, so maybe that makes that clear.
Turks against Bohemians? That has to be a CA play then, right?
Maybe.
We think that far.
Yeah, maybe. Huh. Well, there's 2 villagers on the shorefish there. And if I were to look for an indicator on how a fast feudal, it would be 2 villagers on the shorefish. Now, I think that happens more with 9 villager starts, honestly, but we'll see. The point is in some versions of Migration, players will opt to go fast castle. The other play would be fast feudal. There are other deviations. You could maybe go fast feudal, make 2 galleys to go snipe fish, and then add a bunch of fish behind. I've seen that before with the Malay.
Slam played that in a TTL.
Yeah, Sato. Shout out to Sato. I know Sato's done that before as well. So that, and you don't really have scouting intel, so you're just adjusting on the fly here.
Both going with like mediocre speed, I would say.
Yeah.
Right. Clicking up, obviously melee, advancing so much faster, so it will be an easy defense for them. And this feels like both are playing from home. No transport on the queue.
Both playing from home. I mean, melee, I don't mind advancing fast feudal. We see that pretty commonly. Dravidians, if anything, would have bonuses that would lean more towards multiple docks and more fish. But maybe against the melee, that's a little risky to go for here.
Depends a bit on the timing that you're expecting as well. Look at that. He is building both of his docks in the middle. That would be really scary if Tedo actually went for the forward docks.
Yeah, and no transports in queue.
Yeah. I think it will just be full galley from both players.
Full galley. I guess we'll see.
3-dock galley on then, or are you trying to play fires from long distance?
I feel like if you know your opponent's going galley, you stay on galley. But if you don't know if your opponent's going galley, you might go 2 galleys and then add fish to be greedy.
But now you know that your opponent is not going fires, right? Because the uptiming was so late. Kingston scouts it. He sees no forward dock, and Tado knows, okay, you're up late, so you're never going fires.
Yep, that's the big thing here. Yeah. Now, maybe the villager could be walking across still, though. Like, we've seen people get the scout timing wrong. I think he'd be correct to assume because he also has the buffaloes there, and the buffaloes haven't been lost.
Interesting house by Tado. Oh, that's for a 3rd dock. Okay. So he's trying to fish boom behind this as well. Just
Interesting.
like it, right? That villager always builds the dock afterwards.
Yeah. So, I normally, if this was islands, you would look at this right now and you'd say, well, Kingston's up against Malay. He's just going to be out-gallied. He's dead, right? Because he's out-timed. But it takes so long for Tato to get over there that by the time Tato arrives, Kingston should have enough defensive galleys. This really shouldn't snowball too heavily because of the faster feudal age time, but Tato does have more workers available, so the eco's still slightly better for the Malay.
Yeah. And it will be 2 docks for the melee player, 3 docks for Dravidians. They obviously get the extra 200 wood. And yeah, as you can see, Tado knows, okay, long distance. Let's hit some fishing ships.
This is
not a great. Look at how far the next deep fish is, though.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's kind of unfortunate for him. Fortunately for him, he's Malay and he can see it. Other civs might not. And there might have been some question as to what the opponent was going for here. So Kingston had moved out, didn't know there were 2 galleys there. Oh, that hurts. That hurts a lot. Tato, great job of jumping on top of that, gets their first kill. And Kingston should still have enough galleys here defending. But they're essentially doing the same thing. And now Tato goes a little too far himself. And Tato will lose a galley.
Yeah. This is very unlikely to be decisive in either way. Or losing the second one might hurt, actually.
Yeah.
Quite a bit. And Tato, I think he needs to stop fishing ship production at 6 here. He needs to get galleys out.
Yeah. And you're just, you want enough galleys to defend, but you don't want to overmake galleys and not prioritize your eco here. And then you also have to consider the transport timing.
Look at that. Rushing the market with 3 villagers here. Kingston really wants the better market prices.
I have a prediction. I think Kingston will sell his stone at the market in every game except for Regicide Fortress.
Ooh.
Actually,
close to mountain prediction and would be wild.
Actually,
and madness.
I could even go as far to say he'll do it on Regicide Fortress, and he's gonna mine stone and sell it to go up to Castle Age and boom.
With what civ?
Bohemians.
Oh, really?
You know how why I think he's gonna do that? Because I remember he did that exact thing in his game with the Bengalis. He sold stone.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, with Bohemians that's even better, right? Because you mine the stone faster.
Yeah, he really. He's an underdog. You're against Malay now here as well. The market can help you hit some better timings. And he's very comfortable with that. He does it a lot on Arabia-style maps as well to play into crossbowmen. So, and he is going to get the resources to go to Castle Age much faster than he would have. Tato's going to use the market as well.
Look at that. 4 galleys out against 8 galleys right now. Both players skipping fletching. Tato, he needs to micro well here.
Yeah. I think the blacksmith isn't completed yet for Kingston. He would do that.
Will be soon, though.
And there he goes. And just as Kingston got confident with his numbers, Tato has more galleys. And they're both on the way to Castle Age here.
Tato adds a fire. Likely to be from the dock at the top and try to squeeze it around.
Yeah. That's nice, because microing galleys, it's very messy. And fires, similar to knights on land, you can just toss them in, and sometimes they can get some insane damage when the games get crazy.
Catching both. Tato patrolled in. So did Kingston. KD 5-4.
Yeah, it could be really nice here for Kingston. I know he'll be later to upgrades, but he can just flee. As long as he doesn't get on the wrong side of Tato here. If he goes too far, then he's trapped. But being behind to the Castle Age is probably still fine if he can just fall all the way back and wait for his own upgrades.
Kingston did not add fishing ships behind this, so he's quote-unquote stuck at 4 right now. And both players adding the transporter. Timing to get to the middle.
Yeah, and again, there's not a lot of space there. So it can be really awkward. Sometimes you'll see 2 players arrive to the only town centerable position, and they'll have to fight over it. So
Kingston with the 2 buffaloes should have a good idea where to build.
True.
His castle, though. His town center.
And you can see the fire paying off slightly for Tato. War Galley's on the way. It's actually kind of nice for Kingston. He's getting damage on that before it becomes an upgraded fire, though. Like, that could have been so much better for Tato had he waited a little bit longer. Obviously, that's not something you can really think about as a player.
Yeah, and you kind of build it to just patrol it and let it do his job.
Exactly. It is still taking Kingston's attention away from everything else. And Kingston getting his upgrades. He has to be careful now on the other side with his Navy. Tato's got his upgrades. Actually, Bodkin was a little delayed for Tato, but he will still have the timing advantage. Kingston has the numbers, though. I think Tato might have just made it to the middle with some villagers, though.
Tato goes to the left? What? Interesting. He's trying to trade this off now. I think he's going... Interesting that he has a galley still in the queue. He queues more galleys? Wow.
I think he's kind of trapped himself here, Nili.
Yeah.
I think he got in the wrong position. I think if Tato would have gone to the right side, could have potentially fallen back. Maybe he just takes some fishing ship kills. Hello, guys. How you doing? We're told we're going to Tato's point of view. Tato's point of view is behind us right now.
There we go.
There's Tato's point of view. And Tato, I want to see, is he actually actively moving villagers in the middle? You see how focused he is on water. There's the fire ships. See how little you're looking at your economy right now if you're Tato? It's just crazy. Looking for the low HP ships. His micro's been fantastic, honestly. But there's no town center focus in the middle. Eventually, Kingston's going to kill this, but the fact that it took Kingston this long, I think, is pretty good for Tato. There's the villagers we were talking about, and here we are back.
Product production for Tato should be on the menu, actually, right? He doesn't have a single villager on food right now.
Villagers, I think, are in middle for Kingston.
Oh, yeah?
They're there.
Right.
Okay, so Kingston's going to buy stone probably for a town center there. He brought 5 vills, which is very nice.
Good.
So he could build that TC really quickly.
Scouting transport? Okay.
Yeah, Tato loses his transport ship.
Needs to build another one, right?
Well, he's already in the middle.
Yeah.
So if he's already in the middle, I guess he doesn't have to make another one.
Ooh, that's a good dog. That's really nice to get some fires out and kill the fishing ships of Tato.
Tato doesn't have a town center yet. If this is 2 town centers for both, Kingston's Ville count's going to rise. Now, eventually, you're going to need farms, and eventually, you might want a castle. There's so much to look at right now. But what a close game. It feels like Tato's got the slight edge, but Kingston, if things keep going this way, could pull it back and could be ahead.
Tato struggling a bit with food right now. Can't really keep his town center running as well. Not a single village on food again.
Kingston also adding fishing ships. He seems to understand he can do that right now. Yeah. He's also actively producing fires from the forward dock, which is lovely. The scout will be something we have to look at as well. This is so complicated, guys. Migration's probably one of the most difficult maps to play. But speaking of scouting, Tato did spot the forward dock, so it shouldn't surprise him as much as it could have.
Yeah, and fortunately for him, his war galleys were already there, so should clear this one up quite nicely. Another fortunate thing for him, relic spawn in the center island. 1 relic in the left, 4 relics on the right-hand side.
I did notice that before. Yeah, like the relics are super heavily squeezed over to the right-hand side. That could be just because there's more land there, right? Like, the relics have to spawn on land. That's most of the land, and so there's more space to breathe long-term for Tato if things remain as is. But the population's evening out here, and the Navy comes in from Kingston. The Fire's getting some excellent value in the group. And I've loved Kingston's macro here. He's up to 15 on food when he was at 5 before. Tato's only 4 on food. That's just fishing ships. Yeah. Tato has not transitioned into some farms, it seems.
That's so weird, right? And Yeah, let's take a look at the farm count then from Kingston. Like Tedo, as you said, 0.
Yep.
Small transition here. Like
And it's so difficult to do. He's also got the deer there. He added more fishing ships. It is not easy, guys. But Kingston turning this one around a little bit. The Malay timings we've seen time and time again just dominate the game. You can never catch up. You can never recover. But I felt like the TCs were a key point. Now I think vision on the middle is going to be a key point for both. And they're both building outposts.
Love that.
And Tato's scout is just chilling there. And neither player noticed.
Okay, moves around. Okay, now some damage there. Wants to deal with that dog. 13 war galleys, and Tato is building another transporter. Tato at 18 war galleys. Advantage there.
Tato's going to drop a castle here soon. He's got villagers on stone at home, villagers on stone in the middle. He doesn't actually have many villagers in the middle to build it, but it seems like his plan.
Kingston is on stone as well with 5 villagers though, so his castle will be slower. Maybe wants to buy the remaining stone and try to counter castle, or will he give up his town center spot? Oh, Siege Workshop could be nice for him.
Yeah, I love Siege. Even the presence of a Siege Workshop now makes Tato think twice about a forward castle, but he goes for Redemption with that monk in response. Now, I wouldn't convert the Siege Workshop,
Why not?
honestly.
Why not? Just go for it. And suddenly you have a Siege Workshop in his face.
Well,
isn't that the dream?
Well, that is the dream, actually. But the nightmare is you go to convert the Siege Workshop, the Mangonel hops out, you lose your monk because you don't get Sanctity, and then he knows you get Redemption and you can't surprise him.
Okay.
But I agree that obviously taking the Siege Workshop would be good.
But Mangonel should pop before that. Don't think he can. Yeah, oh, that's the dead monk, most likely.
This is the nightmare.
Is it? Is it?
That's the nightmare.
Oh,
it's the dream! It's the dream!
Ooh.
It's the nightmare?
It's the night dream?
Well, I don't know. What's between a dream and a nightmare?
What's a scout mare?
A nice night of sleep? I have no clue. I don't have Twitch chat up in front of me either for ideas, which means I'm going to struggle big time. We've got the Navy on the left side. That's a decent fight at the start for Kingston. He's also paying more attention to the micro here. So maybe he could still take a good fight, but I think Tato's castle securing the middle is an important thing now. And a couple Karambits could come out there. It could be really difficult for Kingston to expand with his TCs.
Yeah, Kingston can't really do anything with the siege, right? Karambit's so good against Mangonels, and yeah, it will have to be another switch. Maybe both players going to Imp could be an option.
Remember we looked at Tato's TC and he had no farms, and now he's up to like 15 farms. Really nice job. And nice job from him as well to really rebound on water. He dealt with the forward dock, obviously, a few minutes ago, but he has pushed his whole way across now, and I don't think Kingston was expecting this much Navy from Tato.
He's trying to queue up a bit more, but only 13 war galleys. Tato right now not doing anything on water when it comes to production, and that castle is nice positioned on the hill, but imp timing will be the most important thing.
I feel like Tato needs to know that castle's there. If he knows the castle's there, he knows to rush in. But if he doesn't know about the castle, his scout is actually gonna tell him now. He might not rush to imp otherwise. Scout goes down. I think Kingston will stabilize here on water and maybe actually get the full clear up. But Tato can fall back, and I think I see another foundation from Tato right now.
The castle there, that town center could die. Then Trapper would be the advantage, but Tato, 69 food, nothing else going for him. That will be tricky, and that Mangonel is really ambitious to get kills.
Yep, the Karambit Warriors should be able to force the siege away. That is a great castle from Tato. He has lost some water control, but he still has plenty of time to add more Navy behind this and fall back. He has the 4 relics. He's got the ships coming in on the right side to snipe some of the fish as well. And the Mangonel got converted there. And so things falling apart for Kingston.
Did he? Oh, they ran into the castle as well. Bang.
Wow, Tato's played this so well. I just think Tato has utilized the land so well this game. Yeah. He got the relics right away, and he recognized how much space he has and how little space Kingston has, so he's just restricted him in there.
1,000 gold generated only through the relics. That's so much for him. Look at that, rest collected. That alone might be the advantage.
Yeah, true. Yeah, without those relics, who knows? It felt like Kingston was better with the TC timings. He's had more fishing ships for a while. Now, obviously, he doesn't.
And Kingston could have scouted that with the Buffaloes, right?
Yeah.
Could have known, okay, all the relics are there on the right-hand side. Imp timing should be better for Tato. I would be surprised if he queues too many more villagers. It just feels like traps could win the game.
Just remember the timing of the transport and what was happening. Kingston was focusing more on water. He was later to transporting. Tato transported a little bit earlier, was able to move around with his scout, and that's just what it comes down to on migration. It's so tricky. Kingston needs to click Imp before Tato does, I think, to have good chances here, because he needs to somehow recover in the Treb War, and being later to Imp when you're down a castle in the middle would not be good for him, and he does. Click up.
Tato, how much time is he letting go before he can click up as well? Wouldn't be surprised if he tries to use the market a bit more in this scenario. Tries to get the 5th relic even. How sneaky is this guy?
5th relic.
Sick.
Also dropping more town centers in the middle. Also has 21 war galleys. So harassing on the left. They'll meet each other here with quite a few weak ships, actually. Also still harassing on the right. And he clicks up to the Imperial Age, will arrive to the Imperial Age faster than Kingston. I think Kingston's struggling. He's losing some ships next to the dock there. His TC is getting shot down by a castle. It feels like the game... Oh, that's his Imp TC!
No way, Tristan. No, that's... No, oh, no. Oh, no.
It feels like he probably didn't do that on purpose.
I don't think so either. How much HP do we have there?
Oh, no. Don't... Oh, he doesn't know.
Oh, no.
He doesn't know.
Give us Kingston POV. Give me his face.
Yeah, can we... I would love to see Kingston's POV here, actually. Maybe not right now. Maybe a bit closer.
Well, in 500 HP.
Well, true. Yeah, actually now...
Is he sending the builds to repair? Oh, yeah, he noticed.
He noticed.
Does he? Did he? Okay, okay.
Noticed.
Oh, okay. All good. All good.
Okay, well, this is Kingston's point of view. He's blue on his screen. He's repairing that. He's keeping a close eye on it. And obviously, you can see how hectic things are for him right now. Trying to recover on water, hoping, praying he makes it to Imp faster. He will see Imp from Tato come in. He will make it to Imp soon. I think the TC's probably fine now, but Tato should be in a much better position right now.
Can we do chemistry here and try to somehow get to some bombard cannons? Tato already has redemption, right? Block printing,
yeah.
Then will be tricky for you.
Yeah, it's like anything you do now, it feels like the Malay can just do better, right? And Tato already, he has the economy to fund it too. He's got the Navy advantage. Tato's just, he's ahead in every single category. I think this would have to come down to Tato making a big mistake to lose this one. And one of those mistakes would be not to just send it with the Treb numbers. Maybe just go for 1 and wait for bomber cannons. That could be a mistake. He's going to go for 4.
Perfect.
And also, Bracer helps your castle fire too.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's a perfect upgrade.
TC goes down at the left-hand side. Suddenly villagers really exposed. Yeah, some more roomies are coming in. They're slaughtering Karambit, but Tato simply shouldn't give him a fight.
Yeah, can you maybe even try and run to the right? It's so hard for me to think of ideas if you're Kingston. It was actually the perfect castle spot to place it on the hill. I probably would have placed it at the bottom of the hill next to the town center. And then the castle might have fallen already.
Tries to repair. How much stone does he have? 300 in the bank, a bit more at home, most likely. And Karambit numbers are rising. Does Tato stop at 4 traps? 4 should be enough against the castle.
Yeah, 4, and then chemistry is what I'd like to see. And obviously Tato needs to repair as well, and Kingston just kind of holding to this position with everything. The Karambits are going to dive through to hopefully snipe a Treb. I think most of the Karambits will die here, but that's a worthy sacrifice in Tato's eyes. Honestly,
he didn't kill the traps. He killed the
didn't
Banganal, which is so unimportant.
But
Killed
he'll
one
still
trap.
take the castle. He'll still take the castle. I think in Tato's eyes, those Karambits weren't going to do anything else. That's what he needed. And Tato ties it up here 1-1, and a wonderful recovery from Tato. I'm sure he was maybe a little concerned after the first game, but like we said, we'd expect him to turn it around. And I got to say this as well. I thought it was a great game from Kingston. That was a really smooth game, but Tato used all the timings of the Malay.
Yeah, that's just so sick. It feels like Dravidian should have the better economy, right? With like the better fishing ships, the extra wood. But Tato, sneaking that extra dock at the top, adding some more fishing ships, and basically full feudal age was 6 fishing ships against 4. Yeah, that's where Tato pulled ahead. Yeah,
and I think the relics, which we spoke of, were really important. And it's just so difficult when you focus on the water to find the positioning with your town centers. And essentially what happened for Kingston, he moved to the Villes, he found the gold, he said, okay, this is my TC spot. Didn't have a lot of time to think about where he could go. Maybe had he thought about that, could have moved over near the monastery, spotted the monastery, gone for his own monastery, transitioned the whole game from there. But it was pretty much just like a water battle with them both booming in the middle. And then once Tato noticed, dropped the castles. And I feel like the monks were just such a big key. It wasn't just the relics then. He needed the monk to threaten with redemption on the siege workshop, and then the siege couldn't push, and then he could get the castle as well.
Often we see people go for scouts in the middle as well. That could have paid out so nicely, right? It was like no TC for Tato and monks.
Yeah, true. Even just like 2 scouts, honestly.
Like kill a monk quite easily.
Like 2 scouts on patrol probably do a lot there because so many things are happening. But then you're also spending resources on other things. And it just, to me, it was such an intense game. I think the second someone tries to do anything but water, they probably just lose water. So it was tougher to justify than maybe some other migration games. So Kingston's turn now to choose the next map. He's got Fortress and Land Madness, 2 very different maps. All land focused, but that's what Outcrop was in game number 1. And I can't help but look at this and think his draft is very strong. He already won with the Hindustanis, and it felt like they were unbeatable at times. Now he has Bohemians for Fortress, which that Civ can be unbeatable at times. And then you've also got Land Madness. He's got Saracens and Gurjaras there, maybe even Lithuanians. I mean, all of his home maps, at the very least, he's going to have very strong Civs for.
Yeah. Pits like Lithuanians for Cosmon, unless he wants to make like a counter pick with Saracens against Persians, but I think Lithuanians just the safer choice. And Gujaras, crazy on Land Madness, we've seen it multiple times. Tato will have the aggression there with Magyars, but then cavalry against good options from Gujara. My big question mark is still the Tato approach on Fortress in case he picks Turks.
Yeah, I think it has to be Turks, right? Turks or Byzantines. I would say Magyars and Persians are definitely on other maps. Byzantines, maybe there's some matchups where I could see it, but I just don't think that's the play.
It's Bohemian, like every unit dies instantly. Like cataphracts? Are they good against? I think even cataphracts are not enough.
Cataphracts might be a little too expensive.
Yeah, you die to the timing, right?
Well, I guess it's got to be Turks.
No,
it's probably got to be Turks, and it is Turks. So 2 of the best gunpowder civilizations facing off against each other. And again, it is Kingston's choice now as we enter game number 3. It is regicide. Those kings need to stay alive. That's maybe a factor. If you think the Bohemians are so strong, maybe Tato's got to go try and find that king. But we saw yesterday with Hera playing as the Bohemians against Tato how terrifying the Civ is if it gets to Halb and Hufnitze. What do the Turks have to focus on to beat that or to stop that here, Nilly?
Well, the thing is, bombard cannons, you mentioned it earlier, you have 1 more range, but you do less damage. The bombard towers are quite nice for you. Maybe that's a nice combination. And if we exclude that, Janissaries are good against Halberdiers, but completely die to the Hufnitze. So I think it has to be a play around CA.
Are there only 4 relics on this map?
Left-hand side corner. Very smart. Yeah, I already spotted it, and I was like, also like, should this be restarted?
This is an eye test.
Because this is like, there are 4 really fair relics.
Yeah.
This one is clearly in favor of Tato. But we didn't restart yesterday when there were 2 very favorable maps for Hera.
Yeah.
Coastal Mountain and Red Side Fortress.
Yeah, I think it seems to me that on some of the maps, the relics are balanced almost like it would have been in like 2021, you know? Not 2011, not 2001, but like 2021. I personally like a little bit more variance. I think that can be good. But occasionally you're going to see them positioned closer to one player. It doesn't really seem that crazy here. Honestly, I think that you could make very strong bets. Tato never even scouts the one in the left corner.
You have the king, you have a scout, right? So you should see a lot of the map. And yeah, Tristan, you are right. The build-up on stone.
The viewers didn't see it, but I pointed at the
smiled.
stone with a big smile and looked at Nilly like, give me the respect.
Stop talking. Talk about the stone.
Yeah, so.
Picks.
Now,
he's collecting, how much? He collects 9 gold, right? Or does the full 10 trip?
Well, so let's think about this. If you sell 200 stone, how much gold do you bring in?
Sell 200 stone. It's 91 plus 89, I believe.
Okay, so what's the math on that? I don't know.
180.
Like 180. Okay, so you get 20.
Yeah, but why is he making another trip?
Well, you might need to get 30, actually, in the event that the opponent sells... In the event you want to sell some wood. Wood's a different price.
70 for wood.
So sell 70 wood and you
Plus
sell
91.
100 stone.
And 161, so you need to collect 39. So if she finishes,
That's 40.
so we sell 100 wood and 100 stone.
Yeah. And the blacksmith is cheap for the Bohemians, so you don't spend near as much wood there. You normally bank up some extra res. Kind of the funny thing in these scenarios is if both players went for the same build to incorporate selling some stone, it could completely screw the other player over.
Who's that faster? Yeah, correct.
Dave used to get really annoyed with me because I wouldn't tell him if I was selling stone, and obviously my
Yes.
builds are way cleaner than his, so I'm
No,
a few
obviously.
faster, right? And so he'd go to sell, and he'd miss like 1 gold to go Castellation. Was low-key kind of satisfying, even though it hurt the team. But
So now we
let's
can
see.
feel really smart if he sells 100 wood and 100 stone. Which order? I think he sells wood first because it's left side.
I think he sells stone first because stone is the priority of the build.
Isn't the... okay.
It's the priority of the build. You don't...
I'm team wood.
Okay, I'm
wood
team
first.
stone. Chat, pick a team.
King and Garrison voluntarily.
Boom, baby, let's go.
Why?
I'm in Kingston's head. All these little tricks, I'm loving it. And so when he played Bengalis, he didn't go for relics early, and he just went for TCs. And so now you've got 200 stone left over for 2 more TCs, but eventually a 4th TC as well. Now, I don't know if a 4th TC is necessarily as good here, because you might be worried about the imp timings, but that could be the logic. Honestly, he relies on the market so heavily, I think he may even sell stone again at some point. I think, though, even though I guessed the stone, and I'm happy about that, is it
You
not
were right,
better?
Tristan. Let's repeat that. Yeah, it was stone.
But isn't it actually better to have villagers on gold, to buy food, and to balance out your eco?
Yeah, that's maybe an argument for the old food price, right? We changed that some month ago,
Yeah.
where it's now more expensive to buy yourself some food. Still, like the old Bohemian build-up was actually 4 to 6 on gold.
Yep.
And constantly keep on buying food because it's more efficient, because you need to collect wood, then build farms, and then collect food, and it's at the start more inefficient that way.
Would love to see Tato scouting now, because he's actually added a stable. He'll want, like Kev, on the field to stop the relics. And he can see 4 of them. I doubt he'll look for that one anytime soon. But seeing, well, oh, that's Kingston, sorry. Yeah, so Tato saw 4. Kingston sees a couple of them. But Kingston's not going to be going for them at all.
I'm really confused here. Like, Tato is heavily focusing on the relics? Or is he just thinking, okay, I'm countering Bohemians? Because, like, this game is very unlikely to be decided by the relic count.
Well, Tato lost a game yesterday when his opponent had 5,000 gold.
But
Because
he
of
would have
relics.
lost if the opponent had 3,000 gold.
Yeah, true. Maybe. Well, you kind of jumped ahead of me here to the question I was going to ask you. I was just going to think, like, are relics even the decider here? I feel like how good your boom is and what happens in early Imperial Age is the decider.
Yeah, I also think it feels very timing-based,
Yeah.
this matchup.
And your point here is going relics is anti-timing. It's slowing down the time.
Janissaries. Is Tato playing? No, he plays 3TC.
He's going.
Tato's so heavily committing on army here.
Huh.
He will be behind him, boom.
Well, the thing that's surprising to me is it's so much army against 0 army. Like, if he would have seen some indicator, like if his opponent had added additional scouts, then I like the gunpowder addition, or a couple more light cav. But we'll see. I mean, he's still going to have the 3 TCs, but he's very split focus, and also that will affect villager production in theory. If you're microing all these armies, it can take your focus away from placing farms and whatnot too.
Yeah. First step is like 30 TC is delayed. Rule of thumb, you want to have 6 on food to have a TC running, and well, we are still 8 away from Tato. fueling those
Kingston.
3 TCs.
Kingston selling stone again. I think trying to get some gold income to maybe buy some food, even out the eco every now and then. Continues to sell stone actually, like a madman.
Well, kind of has to. Otherwise, the stone is just floating, right?
Do you like a 4th town center here if you're Kingston?
I said we are thinking about timings here, right? And if we think, okay, Tato is having a lot of map control, that might indicate maybe forward castle. I personally would play 3 TC.
This is what I think would be absolutely insane in this position. You use 3 Hussite wagons for a little bit of forward map control.
Yeah.
maybe even just like the siege workshop there.
Yeah.
To start to produce those cannons. Eventually build up towards a castle around that area. But I'm just thinking about what's on the field. Even a couple Hussite wagons right now might actually be really good. Light Cav and Janissaries and Monks. It's if you're going to counter that, you need to add Siege or you need to get Redemption on Monks, which is pretty costly for Tato.
Yeah, yesterday we've seen that Tato tried to clear it up with some light cav play, but that was relatively costly. Scout sees the Janissaries now. Even Loom for Tato.
That was the least accurate shot I've ever seen in my life. I don't know. Did someone bend the barrel of his gun? Like, that Scout's moving out. I like the patience here from Kingston. We're talking a lot about other things, but that Scout could have easily died, and he's looking for Monks right now.
And that will be the forward siege workshop. Could be scouted. Yesterday that was denied for Tato, and that's why he actually loomed there.
Yeah.
Light Cav's still around.
Does he know the king? He's obviously not looking for the king, but does he know that? Okay.
TC.
He sees the TC is there.
See?
Yeah.
I can't go for the king.
Nearly, I love how when there's an intense moment, you feel the need to whisper, and that's not even at lands. That's even if we're casting at home.
Yeah.
You just, the more hype or intense a moment is, the quieter you get.
Yeah, well,
Have you noticed that?
the
about
intensity.
yourself?
Yeah, I was told before. Yeah. That was Noble Apartment Cup. I did that as well, and Hera actually was like, okay, something important. Like, he didn't watch the game, but heard me whisper. Then he watched the game because he knew, okay, something important had to happen.
Is that how it is in your personal life as well? Like, if you're like, when you get married someday, you're gonna like whisper at the altar because it's such an important moment.
You're the love of my life.
It's like you're ashamed. She's like, say it louder. Oh my God. Well, the Siege Workshop, I think, has been spotted
That's so good. So
by
good
the
Kingston.
villager there.
Hallelujah.
And Kingston should know it will turn into some type of attack. Now, I don't know if he can fully deny it. There's a Hussite wagon on the way. That's at 80%. Tato will bring over some army. That'll go up. That'll go up. But I think having a warning of that is pretty nice.
Yeah, certainly. And the villagers pushed away. Can't repair in the future, right?
Also, a relic is coming in for Kingston. He's actually getting a relic right now. Somehow, on the side of the map, or the middle of the map, sorry.
Should not have happened.
He will snipe a villager, so they trade villager kills. He'll add his own siege workshop, and look how tanky those Hussite wagons are against the Janissaries.
Yeah, what armor is that? Like 8 or 10 or something? 7 pierce armor. Pretty mad.
Yeah, and they're awkward to deal with. It does feel like, though, the Janissaries are doing enough damage where it's okay. I think the worry for me is the Hussite wagon kills them faster when they get hits, but I think there's a range difference, right? I think it's 6 range for the wagon, and it's 7 for the Janissary. Yeah.
That's the only way how Tato can actually come out ahead here if he out-micros that. But again, we had 8 range on the Janissaries once. Now it's only 7, so Magnets are better against them now.
Yeah. The thing I like about this from Tato is this is now a distraction that needs to be dealt with.
Yeah.
And so this gives Tato, this turns it into a game where Kingston's on the defensive and Kingston's playing reactive. And it felt, at least with the boom, that Kingston was playing better for the timings.
Yeah.
And now this takes away from that.
Yeah, true. I don't like that he's adding farms here. And why is he that heavily on stone? He doesn't want to build a second castle there, does he?
Well, I think he wants the castle forward. Like the castle forward might have been the play. Maybe you don't want to push Turks. Maybe you want to turtle up a little bit, but it feels like the middle of the map is
Did Kingston
kind of
scout
key.
the relic at the left-hand side? He can't, right? Because the monk is moving out there.
Tato didn't either.
No idea.
Yeah. So Kingston's going to assume Tato will have 4 relics.
And Tato will have to assume Kingston got 2.
This is actually a pretty crazy push right now.
That's
Also,
advantage.
Janissaries, not only due to the range, but just the way their attack works, they do way more damage against enemy mangonels than the wagons do.
Yeah.
So it's doable here for Tato to use this composition and just kill anything that comes his way.
HP on that TC should be around like 800. Now there's some repairs coming in, and the wagons are rolling over.
Yeah, and this is great for Tato. He's cooking behind it. He should have the relic advantage. This is very difficult for Kingston, who tasted victory in the first game. For those that missed it, it was not luck, it was not fortune, it was insane overall play. Went to Imp. Crazy game. Definitely worth a rewatch. That's what I mean. The Janissaries can snipe the siege so quickly. And then the wagons, they're kind of vulnerable against the siege, and they can't do the same. Tato micros again. He misses some volleys there, but he takes out the mangonels.
Oh, but lots of HP lost. No monks around for Tato to heal. No villagers around for the Mangonels to be repaired.
Yeah, true. Tato using this time will expand on the more town centers behind this. And hops out with another Mangonel. That should go
Mangonel
down.
shot.
Nice micro there from Kingston.
Yeah.
Really nice micro. I probably jinxed him here because his wagons are all split up here, and it's such an awkward position, and he's trying to micro. He knows that one is weak in there. He wants the kill on it.
Interesting that Kingston's actually going aggressively with so much of his army there. Tries to intercept and does a good job.
Yeah. Remember, Kingston has the villager lead.
Villagers? What are they? Like, how much is the villager lead?
I mean, life as a villager is kind of hard. They've been working nonstop. The
Mangonels are shooting at your head, yeah?
the economy efficiency is great for the economy, not so much for the villagers. So they just said, never mind.
Double gold locked at the right-hand side. Still,
Yeah.
obviously, we have a lot on our starting gold, but Tato will have some nice vision, and that's a natural 4th TC spot.
So Tato's thinking about his outside gold. He's now thinking about his opponent's outside gold. There's a very good chance Kingston will run out there with a lot of vills soon.
Angle micro at the top.
This is a crazy attack from Tato. Like, it's still here. It still hasn't been dealt with.
And that's the 3 out of the initial 5 Janissaries.
Yeah. So good. So patient from Tato. I love it. All set up play for the late game. Also, he's kind of stopping his opponent from walling up and playing secure. And so this is now a raidable area in the later stages for Hussar, which would be perfect for Tato.
Forced bad siege workshops in the back as well.
Yeah.
So much of a reaction.
And there you go. Villagers headed over to the gold. I think Kingston just clicked the units because he can't be bothered. That will come with losses, but might end up killing those units. If Tato could micro that, it'd be even better, but he's still focused here. And the micro is great from both. But Tato's getting some good eco upgrades right now. He's about to click to the Imperial Age. Kingston himself clicks up to Imp, and here we have Tato's point of view with the push. The attack rounds.
Missed.
He does miss. He's got this army to head back to the golds. Uses the market, clicks up to Imp. His eco's actually kind of a mess right now. And he looked away from the fight for a while, so I'm wondering how much he actually has remaining. He lost everything.
Now adds some more stables, wants to right the side. 103 villages against 115. Kingston, that's no TC at the right-hand side. Those Janissaries could find some kills.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
but
I think
two
with
wagons.
2 wagons, maybe he's okay. But Tato's focus is clear now. The left side is open. The right side is exposed. His opponent has had no time to really think properly. So I think Tato's just going to play full Hussar here.
Outpost control on the side for Kingston, and those Janissaries are not finding the damage.
Can you imagine if these wagons were a little bit faster? I think all of Castle Age would have been dominated by Kingston.
Only there was an upgrade for them to move fast.
and if only that upgrade was available in...
Building that you already have.
Is it Castle Age or Imp, though? I forget.
Castle Age.
How much is it?
I think 300, 300. It's not that expensive.
Probably not worth it in the
But
mid stages, though.
techniques, right?
Nilly is actually looking this up.
AoE2 tech tree. Clicking bookings.
He's getting it now.
protected,
He's getting it now.
Scrolling to the castle. 300, 300!
Let's go. Let's go. Yeah, I always forget if that's a Castle Age or Imperial Age technology. Obviously, you see that one way more than Hussite reforms, but that could have maybe been useful there for Kingston. Look at this castle. He knows he won't have the relic count. He thinks Tato's going to have 4, and he's getting chemistry already, but he didn't click chemistry in Castle Age. Well, very deep in the Castle Age, so he still has to wait almost the full chemistry time to get access to bomb arcana.
Didn't have the university there. A bit of a misstep, but I think it's mainly like even 2 bombard cannons here couldn't give him too much of an aggression.
The thing I'll say is, same thing happened to Hera, didn't end up mattering with the Bohemians. He was very late with chemistry. Still, if you get to Hufnitze and the late game options to the Bohemians, they can dominate. This is full commitment to Hussite wagons from Kingston, isn't it? He's still producing.
I think Elite Janissaries should even be better, right? I think they have 22 attack and Elite Hussite wagon, like maybe 10 pierce armor. The damage output should be reasonable. Oh, but they upgrade in HP as well.
What's the is there a range increase for the wagon when they get
I think they stay
Elite?
at 6. They stay at 6.
So if they stay at 6 and the Elite Janissary is at 8, Obviously, there's a difference in cost. I think it's a bit easier to spend wood and gold. But yeah, maybe the Janissaries are decent in combination with a couple bombard
Also
cannons.
the upgrade 160 HP to then 230. And elite Hufnice already.
Wow.
That's an early upgrade.
Random Hussar runs through the open gate. Bro, didn't you see the sign? This is for red villagers only. That would be really confusing for Kingston.
Did you see the sign?
There's supposed to be a sign.
There should be, yeah.
Villagers are fighting on the sides, and now artillery on the way for Tato. So Hufnice, the better cannon, but the bombard cannons for the Turks will have 14 range. And 14 range against 6 range.
Yeah.
Like, wagons. Like, the wagons are going to be a liability, honestly.
And I think Tato has one of the best bombard cannon micros in the game. He's just so active, constantly microing, constantly moving around, always has them on a group. I think in the long run, I would be surprised if Kingston takes the better trades there.
Hufnice is 50 seconds away. And
not in that one.
It's not. I know it's not in that one, but that one is right behind it.
Yeah. And that's a slow upgrade, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it would be absolutely horrible. I think he's going to be fine.
Yeah, it seems like it. Tato, he needs to add more farmers. 42 feels okay, but if he wants to go full Janissaries, Hussars, I might just see 70.
I love Tato's position for a lot of different reasons, but it gets so much more difficult for him if Kingston does the right things and walls up before those Hussar raids come in. And that right side is being stonewalled. That's so good. And we'll get to see the cannon micro here. And clearly pretty good for Kingston as well.
Oh, yeah. And now we don't need to focus on that. 13 range against 14, and that one range can be enough. And we have more HP on the bombard cannons for Turks as well.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you just inherently get more HP.
Uh-oh. Is that maybe an overboom coming up for Kingston? 155 villagers.
Well, he is going to be pop capped now, so he won't really get many more. This should give him time to bank up some res, and he wants to stonewall this whole freaking map right now. This is a crazy game. Remember, this is Kingston's home map. Kingston the big underdog, but the big storyline is whoever loses this is out. They will not play another game. Not this game, sorry, the series, but it's been an intense best of 5 so far. If you didn't know the storylines, you'd say 2 very even players so far in this series.
Yeah, well, on this day, they are.
Yeah.
They absolutely are.
Yep.
Kingston performing really well. That will be some nice aggression. Tato wants to pressure those 2 goals that he scouted earlier.
I think Kingston has a decision to make right now. He could just push Tato's castle. Like, Tato's castle is right there on the front. Not that one. That there. Like, there. That castle's right next to it. But he's chasing this down. He's really worried about this. So, lovely play from Tato. Kingston about to complete fortified wall. And he just doesn't want Hussars flooding into his eco. And he will chase Tato down. It is still open there, but this should stop any raids from getting out of hand.
Just imagine Hufnice spawning on the other side, right?
Boom!
But gets the kill in reverse.
And Tato gets a kill from the other side as well, but he traded off a bombard cannon. So a lot of these cannons have gone down.
This is dodgeball. This is Tato's dream.
Yeah, there's still a hole on the walls for Kingston on the left, but he's close to completing it.
God, do I love fortified walls.
Fortified wall
upgrade.
It's a tech that so many players don't get.
Yeah.
Right? It is such an important technology. Dude, how many big names in this building right now don't even build the stone walls in the first place?
Yeah.
Right? It's a critical thing. I love it from Kingston, but now we've got a lot to focus on for him because he needs to try and push Tato. He also has to defend these walls, and this little raid from Tato has opened up the game. And, well, not fully. There's still a lot of walls, but it's changed what's happening on the front.
More HP for the CA is now being upgraded, and Tato is switching into CA, so no Elite in the series. He will stay at this amount.
Okay.
It's surprising to me because of the Hussite wagons are now becoming better.
Well, that's true, but maybe it's arrived to a game state where Hussite wagons don't make sense for Kingston. So Kingston's not going to focus on them. He's not going to get upgrades on them, and he's going to play primarily hand cannon or halb or something. I still feel like Kingston needs to try his best to push that castle. Like, that's the best opportunity for him.
Would be so easy, right? Just send 2 of Nietzsche there and see what happens. 4k gold over here.
Also, I still think there's an open wall on the very left. I know there's a lot to look at right now, but it's clear that Kingston is struggling to keep up with this. That is still open. Units can still run through. Units have run through. Tato now getting pushed on the castle, though.
Tato is having enough army, though. Sends this in. This is only some hand cannoneers. Halberdiers are trying to help out some buildings to block this one off. Tato is going for the kill.
Yep, halbs are here, though. Halbs are here. I think this is somewhat okay for Kingston. He still has that army on the right side, but he could push this castle down. That's such an important area of his base, though. That's where both of his golds are, and Tato knows it. Tato loses his castle, or excuse me, it's still up, I think. And the cannon micro needs to be on point. Pretty good from Tato. He's using his range advantage here. He gets another snipe, and Kingston just cannot push that castle right now. Still no answer to the Hussars in his eco and to the big cannon army coming through.
Funny thing, now that the relic spawned on the left-hand side, we have Tato thinking Kingston has 2 relics, Kingston thinking Tato has 4 relics, which might incentivize both players.
Oh my god, a huge shot from Kingston! And Kingston act that this is just no better chance now. There's no better chance to push.
Let's move in, bombard cannon there. Tato dodges that one at least.
Crazy, man. Crazy. And Tato's Cav Archers, they'll struggle against the Hoofneats as well. He will have mobility. He is banking gold. But just when it looked like Tato was in the better position, things turn around ever so slightly. Still very close.
And to my point, with the relic situation, both players might be playing a bit more aggressively than they normally would.
Yeah, that's fair. This is kind of funny. I mean, it's not funny for Kingston. And Tato's gotten crazy values. Tato's still getting pushed on the front side.
Some people might be a bit confused. Why is he taking with villagers? Well, Bohemians with their upgrades, they have more HP and more speed on those villagers.
Yeah, and he just needed a little bit of time to think about everything else. It's so easy to look at one fight and say, well, what is he doing? I would never lose that cannon. First off, you probably would. Second, he's looking at the other side, and that's exactly what happened with Tato there.
Oh man, crazy. And well, still microing. That TC should go down pretty quickly.
Yeah. And we'll prepare it, I suppose. We'll see a player POV here. And this is just the replay of the shot.
Bomb.
It's a shame we don't have Kingston's face. Maybe he was like...
Bomb.
Maybe he was making some faces there when he got that shot. You can see how awkward that is for him, though. Yeah. And we're obviously back to where we're at right now. It feels like Tato needs to hold the front of his base. His Hussars and his Bomber Cannon will play a role in that. He'll clear up the Hoofnitze. The Cav Archers then should be pretty strong here. And he still has that army on the right side. Still not dealt with. What an absolute mess for Kingston.
How is he not sending some army in there? And, oh god.
Wow, he calls it. Wow, crazy. Tato wins 2 straight, up 2-1, and importantly takes the win on Kingston's home map.
Pop 180 with like 60% map control, and Kingston resigns.
Yeah, I don't like that.
This might be the, okay, I have only 1 relic against 4 mindset, plus I'm losing the gold, but can't he just send like 20 elite skirms and clear up the Janissaries?
I think we need to bring ACCM and Yo in here so we can get their thoughts, because they probably won't resign until they're down to 80 pop in that situation, right? Do I think Tato's still going to win that game? Probably, because the issue and the reasoning behind Kingston resigning there is because he just can't kill that army on the right side.
But why can't he? He was producing elite skirmishers. Just send in like 30 elite skirms and you will deal with that.
He didn't have a good queue. I was looking at his res bank. His res bank was not good at all.
Like 40 idols on the gold.
40 idols on the gold. Like his food count wasn't as good. I think it would have been difficult. Realistically, if he does play on, the skirms maybe eventually deal with that, but then he loses everything on the front. He was about to lose everything on the front to 20 CA because he had hand cannons and halbs there. So I think he loses a lot. But what a great game from Tato. I really, like, you see how the game finishes, and you think, well, it's because of the side raid through the walls and whatnot. But no, like, I think it was what really opened up that game was the Siege Workshop and the Janissaries. Yep. He made way more gunpowder than you and I were expecting in Castle Age, and the Siege presence was huge. I think if he just straight booms, he maybe loses map control to wagons. It's very easy for Kingston to focus in one spot, and Kingston maybe has the advantage there.
Yeah. Also, the gunpowder was doing more damage than we thought, right?
True.
But nice snipes against the mangonels, was doing reasonable damage against the wagons as well.
Yeah.
I kind of want to ask Tato there if, like, did he feel like a normal standard game would be tough for him?
Yeah,
and that's why he felt like he had to push, because 30C was so late, right? He really wanted to go for map control, maybe a bit like PTSD from yesterday, where Hera picked the relics so much faster.
Yeah, could have been that. Yeah, I mean, certainly something to ask if he wins the series, right? But Kingston's got another home map to work with, And we will probably see that now as he looks to even up the series. I'd love to see that again. I'd love to see the draft. I think there's no big questions on this map, Land Madness, if that is what we see. I think Gurjaras have been seen a lot. Saracens as well. They're different in play style, but I like them both. The kicker here to remember is if Tato loses this game and it goes to Coast to Mountain, it will be what we feel is maybe the #1 civilization on the map in Persians, Tato's #1 pick. So odds are very good for Tato right now with that in mind.
Yeah. And then we think, okay, is it Lithuanians? We've seen them yesterday against Persian, the best game of the tournament, most likely, against Tato. Or is it a counter pick with Saracens there? And he tries to make something happen with Camels, but the start is just so much slower.
Start is
Don't
rough.
have any eco advantages till maybe a bit of market play, which isn't that common on this map.
Is there a chance that both Kingston and Tato go for starting Barracks Militia and no dock against each other?
Persians?
Because Tato did it with Lithuanians. Persians, it should be somewhat doable as well, right? I think there's the only 2 civs. I remember 4v4 tournament.
Battle of Africa Finals.
Battle of Africa
I wanted
Finals.
to say the same thing on step.
And it was like the first time that we'd ever seen something like that, and it was Tato with Persians, right?
And that was a moment where Persians were not that great. And I think in like a 4v4 draft, like best of 7 or something, the prioritization was crazy high. I think they picked it like 3rd or 4th. And everyone was like, why are they doing?
Yeah,
And then he dominated that game. Yeah.
That's one for the OGs right there. That was a long time ago, but that was a great finish.
Yeah. Also, great video for a sellout. Viper actually analyzed that whole set afterwards. And actually shared all his thoughts. And it was like a post-series analysis, like 1.5 hours. I watched that one train ride once.
Okay.
Was beautiful.
Okay, cool. I might go back and watch that at some point. I go back, I watch the old ones, and I just remember it's nostalgic graphics, but I am also kind of like, how did we play this so much? Like, it's hard to go back to the old graphics for me. I think, if anything, the classic sounds pull me in a little bit more, you know? I know some players, I think like Slam, I think another player, Andre, I think they play with the classic sounds.
Oh, really?
There's quite a few pro players who do, actually. But, yeah, we're expecting Land Madness here. What approach is better for Kingston as a player? He's got Gurjaras, which is your more standard scout opening approach. You have Saracens.
Gurjaras can play archers as well.
True.
Right? Getting all the food through the mill, archers into scouts.
Yeah, that's fair. And then Saracens, you know, I was thinking Saracens is better for him because we've seen a consistent theme of him using the market, and he loves to play archers.
Crossbow timing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind that. But prioritization-wise, he picked Gurjara so much faster. And he saw the early Magyar pick on Tato's side.
Yeah, true.
So why pick Gurjaras that early if you don't feel like, okay, that's what I want to play against Magyars?
Yeah, I guess that's fair. I guess it's good to have the option here. You know, Tato, he can think about this pretty clearly. I think with Magyars, you can always open scouts and be happy. You just kind of transition from there. But, yeah, on paper, if we're talking about purely like the tech tree, Tato may be a little bit out-civved against Gurjaras and Saracens.
Yeah, well, kind of, right? It is tricky. I would say it's kind of even because like your opening is so much faster, and then you have the option like still Halberdiers against the Cav and heavy CA are just really nice.
Yeah,
on
yeah.
I think on Arabia maybe Gurjaras might be a bit better. And Saracens might have slight advantages, but on like the super open map, and it's not unlikely that we have like 70 cavalry in Castle Age, I don't mind Magyar CA.
Okay, we'll see. I'm also very curious. We say very open map. Maybe some potentials for walls for one player over the other. Look at the amount of wood Tato has.
I don't care about the amount. Look at the Civ.
Oh. Tato's Byzantines. But look at how much wood he has, Nilly. He's got a lot of wood. He's got 3 options to take wood, and Kingston has 1 option to take wood, which is what I thought you were reacting to.
Intended spawn? I think we have the admins there because that looks like really, really fortunate map for Tato for sure.
It's a weird one, right?
Even
because there's no like
safe goals behind that.
Yeah, it's a weird one. Like this has happened before.
Yeah,
it's not a bug per se, but it does fall into the category of an unintended generation.
And we have admins around sitting one room next to it, and they will look through the robots, and they will look through the map scripts and like, okay, how much intended is that? How do we want to play this one out? I think a really good spot there for Tato.
Okay, so Byzantines, not Magyars. Typically, we're expecting them more the counterplay. They tend to play spears and skirms.
Yeah, true.
Duke or Jaras have some issues thinking about how to manage this now, because you're normally expecting to be up against Knights or Cav Archers, and you can just make Camels and Shrivamshas and be happy.
Yeah.
Now, there might be a little bit of head scratching long term here for the Gujaras.
Yeah, maybe it's a scout skirm and trying to play something that we see every day in the week, starting 2 a.m. European time, MBL against Hard. One player plays spear skirm, the other one scout skirm.
Yeah.
And then most of the time the player with the better micro comes out ahead, and Kingston has been looking pretty sharp.
Yeah, and also Gujaras have the edge with the early lead. They receive that extra food income with the sheep inside the mill. There's also some nice transitions you can do economically with that, on top of the deer that's been pushed in already. So I think the timing should be better for him. Tato's going to recognize this. I think I saw this matchup like 4 weeks ago, okay? And it was very clear to me in mid-castle, this becomes very awkward for the Gujaras. And in that case, the Gujar player actually won Nilly because their second TC was on a stone, and they actively mined stone, building up into chakrams as quickly as possible.
And we just get the confirmation from the admins that game was not bugged by the rules, but obviously we're here to play competitively.
Yeah.
And that map for Tato was just so much better. He had so much more wood. That's like natural walls for him. He had safe goals behind there. While on the other side, Kingston, like 3 wood lines very far out.
Yeah, I don't hate that.
Most likely in Castle Age, Tato would have taken massive advantages there. And we are here to enjoy beautiful Age of Empires, not map scripting competitions.
Yes, and I'm sure admins are now fingers crossed that the next one's not somewhat subjective as well, but I think it's a good move. More time for both players to think about it, but to continue my point, the stone mining might be key here. Like getting to Chakram, getting to your unique unit, because it's just an awkward game if you get up against camels and skirms. You have the better camels, but it's super easy for Byzantines to transition into any counters long term.
Pikemen, halberdiers are cheaper then as well, right? Camels, you can't really get the aggression. The thing is, what's the answer then? Like Arbalest against the Chakrams? Like Cataphracts?
I think
shouldn't
the fact that you even said Arbalest with a lot of question in your voice is the reason why it might actually be the play, right? Just the fact that it makes him think, what do I do against this?
CA should be good, but
hand
for
cannons,
Byzantines.
hand cannons, Arbalest, yep. But if you go hand cannons, Arbalest, then it opens up opportunities for the Shrivamsha, right? So like that's kind of the key for me. On the note of the Shrivamsha, the unit does a terrible time if it's fighting other units in open field, in my opinion. Camels, Cav Archers, even like mass crossbow. I think once that dodge is gone, they struggle. But if you prevent the opponent from walling, then things are a bit different. And this map is designed to prevent walling. Welcome into game number 4. And just to repeat here, this is actually a restart. They knew the Civ matchup. They restarted after 4 minutes of the other one because we had some wood issues for one player. This is more along the lines of what you want to see. Multiple woodline options for both players. But again, that rocky terrain, you cannot wall on. So a full wall is very difficult on Land Madness.
I think the restart is good for Kingston, right? Because we were expecting Magyars against Gujaras, and he was expecting Magyars against Gujaras, right?
Okay.
And now he got another 2-3 minutes to reset, to think about the matchup, and maybe come up with better answers than he would have been forced to make on the fly.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, a little bit more time to think about it. I don't think it'll change his build at all. I think he's going to do the exact same thing there. I still think opening scouts is maybe a good play. I don't think it'll change Tato's build or anything either. But I want to point out an area of the map here. The middle. It's very early and preemptive. But if you look about how the units are going to have to move, especially with the positioning of one of the wood lines, like, you look at that middle relic vodka for me, I am being the worst. But look at all the golds and stones and hills, and look at the accessibility to the other players' bases long term. I feel like whoever controls the middle of the map is going to have such huge success here.
And it's tough to loop around at the right side, right? Because there's a longer wood line there connected the two.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Very awkward. So a lot of that activity might funnel through the middle.
Yeah, and it's easier for Kingston to get there, right? Tato has a bit of a blockage there with the wood line in front of his base.
Now, when you're trying to scout the opponent, it's actually a bit harder to find the opponent here because you're normally looking for gold, berries. Obviously, you're looking for buildings, but the way the resources are designed is it's just spread out everywhere. So you can't just find the berry bush and find your opponent or find a 3-tile stone and find the opponent. That's spread out. So we're going to see the players delay their scouting, I think, because of that, and also because the matchup pretty much tells us what the players are probably going to do. And Kingston just pushing in his last deer here.
And another fact, we only have 1 boar.
Yep.
On Land Madness. So we want to push a bit more deer. Therefore, as you said, scouting a bit later will be a bit weirder. But that's why we, most of the time, also, in addition to the long distance and tough walls, most of the time, go for scouts.
What's your thoughts on playing Gurjaras in early feudal now with the sheep?
I'm a fan of keeping 4 sheep in there. Like
Okay.
having at the start like 6 and then take some out and it feels like 4. I'm getting some food. Obviously, more sheep in the mill, the more food you get, but it's not linear.
Yeah. So I'm glad to hear you say that. And also, speaking of the hill, Tato just had a barracks foundation placed
yes, blue
directly
dots.
on the hill.
Tristan, they're blue dots.
He's going forward.
Maybe he heard you.
He's
He
going
said
forward on the
someone
hill.
needs to control the middle.
I mean, against Byzantines, love to do this.
And it's tough if you open stable. Stable is bad against spear scum aggression. Camel.
Did he see the deer move? Is he suspicious? There's the villager.
No, he's just there to push. He's just there to push. He didn't get suspicious at all. That was really fortunate for Kingston.
I'm going to give him credit, but I think you're right.
Oh,
Well,
that's good. And now Kingston should play archery range instead of stable.
Yep, I would agree with you there. That's what most people tend to do, and he'll do it.
Clever.
Also can get a nice hit or 2 on this scout. Watch this camel scout. It's going to eat that scout. Look at this damage.
Yep.
Boom. Crazy damage. Should get a second hit in there. That's a nice start. And Tato will start to make the spears here. But Tato looking to make this pretty messy. And he's going to place his range in an interesting location. The pathing could be kind of awkward if he's sending units from those buildings and trying to group up on either side.
True. He kind of needs to shift-click his waypoints from the barracks.
Maybe.
What? Kingston is pulling 2 villagers against this?
So,
Why 2? If you want to attack, you have to pull 4. Oh, that's why he's adding 2.
Yep, he's adding 2. 2 by 2 to the archer range goes Kingston. Now, Kingston's got an issue, too, because he's now bringing his skirms around, and it's pathing on the other side of this wood line. And now the scout is there, too. So, messy moments. If Kingston makes big mistakes and loses, he is out of the tournament. He needs to win this game on his home map. And will lose the skirmisher, so not the best start there. And I think Tato overall is going to be very happy with this. This is making messy for Kingston. He hasn't lost any of his villagers, and he doesn't have as many idle villagers running around either.
But villagers are really low HP. 2-0 KD. Tato in some problems. Needs to quick wall those villagers potentially.
I would pay attention to the idle TC time here, and are the players actively building houses as well. Tato's going to have idle TC time, I think, as he saves that villager because he needs some houses right now. There's a lot of focus on the micro. Tato loses the villager behind the walls to the skirmishers. There's another villager that's weak here. Kingston's going to kill another. Is he going to kill all of them?
Looks like it. Only 3. That's why you pull 4 villagers, because you should be winning this fight. This is a nice opening here for Kingston. And Tato is struggling quite a bit.
Yeah, Tato's scout is so weak. Tato's spearmen are going down. This whole forward is just completely collapsing here for Tato. Beautiful job from Kingston to manage it, Neely. Like I said, he's also done a great job producing vills behind all of this. It's still going to be an absolute nightmare because Tato can still produce out of the buildings.
Oh, Scout didn't get the hits in. 3 skirmishes against 2. Maybe gets down to 1.
And now, do you wall up the archery range?
It is tricky, right? Because there's already the palisade. You need to kill the palisade first, and then you can wall it in if you decide to.
It is tricky, but I think life is much trickier if you don't wall it in. So I would say maybe it's worth it here.
The walls are just so big. You need to wall around the house right now.
True.
Plus, I think Tato could have maybe even built it next to the stone so that you can't wall in this area.
Honestly, that's big brain right there. Yeah, that's really smart. I think... I'm not sure. I can't really tell. It's kind of inconsistent sometimes, and we can't check his casters, but maybe that's why Kingston isn't able to do so, or just won't try. Double range for Kingston. It's going into a Skirmore, which could benefit both long-term when they transition into cheap camels, Byzantines have the cheap camels anyways. Gurjaras just have the stronger camels. But Tato's still fine. I mean, he's still applying pressure. It's much easier for him in a skirm war than it is for Kingston.
Yeah, he won't mind that at all. Exploding quite a lot of wood. Wouldn't be surprised to see a blacksmith pretty soon. Maybe even an earlier fletching timing than Kingston.
What about scouts?
Oh, you can't afford that yet.
Yeah.
It's just so tricky. Because, like, adding 2 scouts now, you need to snipe all the spearmen that then are coming up, right? I think you need the economy to make
Multiple.
like 5 scouts
Yep.
switch.
Yep.
Oh,
Kingston.
that should never be out there.
And she's going to go home. So nice shot from Kingston. He does have some idle TC time rising up now. And just a reminder just how consistent you have to be, right? It was such a good opening, and games can fall apart on you so quickly. Tato's got to be really happy with the control. I know he's lost the Vils, but when you're on top of your opponent like this, you feel that control as a player, and it boosts your confidence.
Yeah. And he keeps his CC running better than Kingston could, right? Oh, and that's it at will.
Was she weak?
I think she
I
might
feel
have
like
been the one from before, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like she was weak. There's probably a couple weak ones around.
There was some damage earlier. Tato now. Let's compare the farm count pretty soon. Feels like Kingston is doing a good job.
Yeah, he's doing a good job, but Tato's farms aren't idled at all. And Tato, he hasn't had to build a second range here. Tato's skirmishers are much cheaper. I don't know how many resources he saved exactly.
Stable.
But it's definitely adding up a little bit, and stable from Kingston. A couple scouts here could clear up the skirms, but the key for Tato is getting spearmen over to those skirmishers. He needs to know about this.
I think that's stable for Tato as well, right? Did he build one?
I think it is, yep.
Will be later, though. And those skirmishers are quite out of position there.
The barracks is going to be out of position for Tato, though. It's really far away from the skirmishers. Do you wait if you're Kingston until you get multiple scouts, or do you move out with just one to get as many hits as possible?
I'd like to wait for 2.
Okay. I think if I was in his position right now, having traveled so far physically to get here, the moment, I might just want to send 1. You know, just to get some answer as quickly as possible.
I think like 1 can get microed down by like 6, 7 skirms. Okay, this is the way I could see 1. Yeah, if you have enough skirmishers.
It's interesting
nice.
he comes to this group, actually, because this is the group I expected to be safe with spearmen. But if he's... Now the other group can be killed by the next scout.
Exactly. Great move by Kingston.
That's
really
huge.
Good move.
That's crazy priority, right?
Yeah.
It's not immediately obvious, and now the spearmen from Tato are not going to be enough necessarily. And then the other group as well is trying to be free. Maybe that will be free, but Kingston really stabilizing nicely. Tato's waiting with his scouts.
And that should be... Man, I think he thought he could help out a bit.
Yeah, that little line of trees connecting the wood lines hurts Tato. Now there's the tiger there. And what a turnaround here from Kingston. That's like 7 or 8 straight kills
feels
on
like
skirms.
2011 KD now, and the skirm number is high enough for Kingston. He won't die to those scouts now.
Yeah, Tiger's still attacking Tato, which is just gonna add so many annoying problems for him. There's some weak units in there. It's time to feast for the Tiger. And it's a scout war now. And I think we might see a whole lot more scout production for both of them. It's really close right now. Neither player will be able to stop production. Tiger's going at it. And the crowd, I think, cheered for the Tiger. I appreciate you guys.
And
isn't Tato? Don't people call Tato the Tiger?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, they might be cheering for him too.
Go Tiger.
I think Bloodlines would be a big upgrade to get here. Not right now, but think about the difference in the Scout War.
Yeah,
One player can't get Bloodlines.
Yeah. And Tato still doesn't have a blacksmith, right? Double, stable. Might build one at the top here now, exactly. But doesn't have the economy. And 4 on gold now. I don't see Tato building a gold unit anytime soon.
Is Tato building a... No, he's making the Spearman from here. Sorry. I was just wondering if Tato would even consider a defensive barracks. Certainly at some point you might need one because your barracks on the front is a liability, but that's a big investment.
Do we need towers here if we're Tato? It just feels so weird. Like, the map is so incredibly open. He's so far behind the military. 6-22 right now.
Land Madness of old, like when people weren't playing quite as clean, you might be able to justify 2 vills on stone and just a couple towers around the map. And this is pretty messy. We've got the big stage. We've got an amazing moment here in the losers bracket. As both players will know, they have to win today or they are out. I wouldn't mind it. a couple towers around, it really could free up potential aggression, and you don't have to stay as defensive with your units at home.
What a great addition. The only civilization that can build that. And that's mobility and a great counter. Something you rarely have to scouts.
Stone sold for Kingston yet again. He continues to do that, and I think he really should recognize that Tato's on double stable. That's a lot of scouts from Tato. He got foraging and not armor, though, so the skirmishers are actually contributing a decent amount. Still, there's more numbers for Tato. And that's, oh my goodness, that's so many skirmishers. But the Camel Scouts are going to be here soon.
Yeah, I think one Camel Scout will be enough to chase this away.
Wow.
Great play by Kingston.
What's the movement difference now between the Scout and the...
155, 145.
Okay, so there's a slight speed difference for the Scout. So no real worries there. Tato's going to go full feudal here. We see armor now. We still see more Scouts. Can he break Kingston before Kingston makes it to Castle Age? If Kingston makes it to Castle Age with camels and skirms, Tato's going to be completely dead.
Tato sold the stone as well. He's trying to get to Castle Age now himself. Saw the prices, so he knows, okay, well, you're already thinking about Castle Age.
I think Kingston just has to play defense now, right? Like, I think any form of offense has got to be completely out of your mind. He isn't walled there. Of course, it's hard to wall on the map. The scouts are going to be through. One scout goes down, but it's traded for a villager kill. That should be at least one more villager kill, and it is. But Kingston's still here. Kingston's still up to Castle Age. Tato still hasn't clicked yet.
How did Tato collect more resources?
I think there's just been greater efficiency, honestly.
Okay.
Like, that's got to be part of it. Let's even just check the lumber camp for Kingston. Is that not really... Okay, he just built a new one, so yeah, maybe it's fine. But, like, I think Tato had more res collected the whole game. Even after he killed the 3 villagers, I think he had.
Is that stable? He's going full camel. He's going crazy there.
Wow.
But can he survive?
I would just be feeling, if I'm Kingston, you have to constantly be doing damage. That's your feeling usually as a player. And he might be out of position if he thinks that way. Those camels, not enough for that many scouts. So maybe the camel scouts aren't actually that good right now.
Yeah, they're obviously way better.
He doesn't have bloodlines. He doesn't have armor, though. So that's part of it.
Yeah. The attack is the least important of the upgrades.
Yep. Yeah, really surprising. We didn't see armor as a priority.
Tato's adding more scouts. Wants to keep up the aggression.
I like it. I like it because you can still have the resources to make camels out of 3 stables when you make it to Castle Age on this eco. I think if it's a different situation and you have to choose between the two, you're going to want those camels. But still being able to get scouts on the field, that can be helpful for scouting the map. That can be helpful against monks later on. Could be really solid here. And as we see Kingston, this is just so typical. Buys the stone back, drops the second TC. So not as aggressive an opening as we thought.
The TC, though, in a spot, yeah, you have a lot of villages there, but that's a spot you never get raided at, right?
Yeah.
It's exactly behind you at the end of your base. I think I would have liked it more at the gold or the woodline here.
I don't think you can place one.
Can't really place next to the woodline directly.
Yeah, I think the hills are tough. And you can't place it on the woodline because of the rock terrain.
Yeah.
So we'll see Tato's point of view here as the camels come in. Tato's chopped those trees so he can place it next to the woodline. And he knows he needs a bit of patience here. He absolutely needs that TC to complete. This is dangerous. Those are elite skirms. Panic from Tato now. And he's thinking he's going to clear this. It might not be so easy, though. A couple vills go down, I think.
He did not take light calf. Oh, no, he is taking light calf.
Yeah, he is. And he'll take the fight. TC completes. Oh, man, but so many farmers have to move. We're back now. Kingston has done a nice job. I was incorrect. He's been able to add the eco and be aggressive. 7 camels on the field. These are Gurjara camels, so they're definitely the stronger camels when you compare them long term. And Tato's off of gold. Tato's off of half his farms now.
Yeah, look at that. 10 on food, 2 on gold. That's not enough to fuel 3 stables.
I don't think maybe he needs to sell his wood as well, like just to get some gold to make more camels.
Yeah, that's what he's doing now.
So impressive from Kingston. It's clear. He got the nerves out of the way yesterday. Maybe it's a style thing too. We could make arguments, but this is the Kingston that people were hyped about. And this isn't a do-or-die situation.
Yeah. It's really, really impressive here. And Tato obviously going in as the great favorite, but right now it looks like all Kingston. Love to see it.
I also love the recognition and patience from Kingston to say, okay, we've done enough just sitting in that area. Let's move elsewhere now. Let's just loop around. Let's not stay stagnant with our armies. Tato got a TC up there. That's not really a great TC to protect resources, though.
Yeah, you need another lumber camp there to get to the wood line. Teddo's going to counter